Yep, this is Todd on one, ready to roll. Looking forward to a big afternoon of golf. Jim, put yours on.
Is that better, Brad?
On air. Beautiful.
Hello and welcome to our third round coverage of the Coca-Cola Queensland PGA, presented to you by Toowoomba Regional Council. It's going to be a pretty interesting day. If the first 2 days were any indication, we had a rain delay in round one, windy conditions yesterday in the second round. Things are pretty dry out here in the third round, but I hear the greens are running absolutely perfectly. It's Lincoln Ty out in front. He was the story of yesterday. He's got a 2-shot lead over Daniel Nisbet. We look forward to your company so far today on PGA TV. Be sure to tune in to all the live action.
Thanks, Ali. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Coca-Cola Queensland PGA Championships, presented by the Toowoomba Regional Council. I'm Todd Woodbridge, and alongside of me in the commentary booth this weekend will be Ewan Porter. And Ewan, this particular event, it comes steeped in history with some exceptional names on that trophy.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Todd. Ian Baker-Finch, Greg Norman, David Graham, Peter Senior are just some of the names on the trophy. And what about the quality of field that we have assembled here? 7 European Tour winners, 4 PGA Tour winners, 9 Asian Tour winners, 37 PGA Tour of Australasian winners. So the competition, the level of competition here is incredibly high.
Incredibly high and incredibly hot scoring to get things underway. After day one, Ryan Lynch led with a round of 62. After round 2, it was Lincoln Tyre top of the leaderboard with rounds of 63 and 64. So some hot scoring can be played here. What are we looking forward to this weekend?
Well, it's a sort of golf course, as you said, where you can go low, but you've only got to be a little bit off here and you can find yourself in some serious trouble. So the leaders are going to have to be on their toes. But I want to look at the final group today, Todd. Lincoln Tyre, Daniel Nisbet and Daniel Pearce, all proven winners. Daniel Nisbet won twice on the PGA Tour of Australasia last year. Daniel Pearce won here 2 years ago, so he knows how to win around this golf course. Lincoln Tyre, he won the 2014 New South Wales PGA Championship, but here's a great story. This is his first 72-hole tournament in 12 months. Broke his hand a year ago playing at Royal Pines in a tournament, so he's incredibly talented. He's the longest hitter out here on tour, but I think he's definitely the one to that the players are going to have to catch the weekend.
Well, that's the last group. Let's take a look at the leaderboard and see how things stand as we head out to live play. Well, there we have it. Lincoln Tyre up atop of the leaderboard at 13 under par. This is how things stood at the end of round 2, and there's been some action on the board already earlier in day 3.
And we have beautiful conditions here on Saturday for the 3rd round, so it is a good opportunity for these players to make their presence felt on the leaderboard. A good opportunity for the likes of Nathan Green, a winner on the PGA Tour, James Nitties, who has been showing flashes of brilliance lately, that 9 birdies in a row, a European Tour record at the Victorian Open a couple of weeks ago. Lawson, he has his European Tour card now, so all of these players looking to make red hot starts and catch the lead at Lincoln Tyre. Looks like he's no signs of slowing down with what he's done the first 2 days.
No, and we talked about names there that have done well here in the past. Last year, Josh Younger had a good tournament, his second, if my memory serves me correct, and again playing well here on the City Golf Club course in Toowoomba. So lots ahead of us today, different conditions to what they were last year. We heard Ali talk about the conditions here. The course is dry. They've been through a really rough summer, big drought, and there are areas of the course that really need a lot of water. So as we get out to some live action, that's Peter Wilson.
Beautiful birdie putt there on the 8th. Now, if he did that 12 months ago, that would have been a bogey. But it's still something that we're all trying to get our heads around, leaving the flag stick in whilst putting.
And you can see the picture behind there, what would have been lush rough this time last year, in fact, is so burnt out that you have to be cautious here. You talked about in the opener just there, you know, you need to be a little bit offline. You can get into trouble. Anything on the edges of the fairways here is, you call it slippery, and that ball can really run off and get into some tree trouble. But let's have an update of the leaderboard. This is how things are standing after 5 holes of our leading group. Lincoln Tyre at 2 under through 5. Daniel Nisbet has matched that, but the third member in that group, Daniel Pearce, is 2 over par, so he's fallen backwards quite quickly because there's some red hot scoring, in particular from Jared Felton.
Well, look at the top 3 names on that leaderboard. Already the experience rising to the fore, because Jared Felton's a 2-time winner on our tour here, and he played well at the Victorian Open, finished tied for 12th a couple of weeks ago. But 6 under through 10 holes is exactly what I was referring to earlier. You get off to a good start, make your presence felt on that leaderboard, and then leaders like a Lincoln Tyre or a Daniel Nisbet, they see someone like a Jared Felton's name there, and not that they're going to tighten up too much at all, but they can certainly, they know that he's experienced, and they start to feel a few nerves.
Yeah, it puts some pressure on, doesn't it? Another youngster playing very well once again. We've seen him on top of many a leaderboard in the last 12 months here at the Australian PGA Championships, Australian Open. He played very well. That's David Michael Uzi, 4 under through his front 9 holes today. So keep an eye on him. It won't be long before we see him turn pro. I feel get through this middle of this year, the top amateur events, the British Amateur, the US Amateur, and then expect to see him trying to make some money on tour.
Well, that was the young amateur Denzel Ermia from New Zealand. And hooked his tee shot left of the green there on the par 3/8. This is Max Mcardle. You remember last year, Todd, was in the final group on Saturday at the Australian Open Championship at the Lakes, playing with Matt Kuchar, and ended up in a tie for 13th. He's a good player, Max, from South Australia, and a beautiful shot there.
Great opportunity for a birdie, using the contours of that green very well. A lot of the greens here are quite portioned off, aren't they? There's little plateaus that you need to be accurate with your iron play.
Great to see the youngsters getting into the game. Little working on his photography skills there, but the crowds, as we saw last year, Todd, crowds are phenomenal out here.
This is James Marquezani, 1 over today through his 8 holes, currently at 7 under par. Good looking smooth swing. Has he got the distance control right? Just a tad short.
He had a wonderful 2017, James. 2018, not quite matching the standards from that year prior, but certainly playing well here.
Well, it's been a great atmosphere last night here at the City Club. Big band in action. They really make it an event here at this tournament. The Toowoomba Regional Council and the golf club here have done an excellent job at creating that atmosphere, building an event around this golf event, around the PGA Championships, and it's been very successful. Great community feel to it.
Well, I believe we learned last year that it's almost half the city's population of members here. It's something like that. It's like 40 or 45%. It's quite incredible. Great social atmosphere. And my parents got their photo in the local paper last year from the evening on Friday night.
So our first look at the 10th hole, a real birdie opportunity this hole.
Yeah, this is young Victorian amateur Matt Dowling. It's at 6 under par after 2 rounds.
Now this is a very steep green from back to front, so he's left it in a good position to be maybe a tad more aggressive on an uphill putt than that.
Yeah, we stood on that green yesterday, Todd, and quite often the camera doesn't give you the exact example of how much slope is in it. But that camera, that's a wonderful camera angle there. It shows you just how much slope is on that putting surface and the rise up to the green. You stand in the middle of that fairway playing your second shot here on the par 5 and basically hitting straight up a mountain.
Was Michael Sim lining up his birdie putt. Now, when we looked at these putts, these are the ones, if you've got these for par, these are dangerous, aren't they? Because there's a fair bit of break in these. It's about reading the speed and the line correctly. They've both got to match perfectly.
You watch this one, he'll start this left of the hole from only 5 or 6 feet.
Can't be too aggressive on this sort of putt, can he?
Well, if you're too aggressive and you catch a lip out on the high side, which for him would be on the left side, you could end up with at least a 3 or 4 footer for the next putt. And see, he's just dribbled that down there, beautifully done. Now, you want to talk about the quality of the field here. Here's a man who has won 4 times on the Web.com Tour. 3 of those were in 2009 when he earned a Battlefield promotion to the PGA Tour, and that same year played with Tiger Woods the final round of the US Open at Bethpage Black. In fact, he got to number 36 in the world. Looking to regain that form. This is South Australian Peter Cook. Steady performer on the PGA Tour of Australasia, but we'll go back to the New Zealand out at amateur, Denzel Ermia.
He's taking the putter off the green here. The fringes here with the Kikuyu rough are a little bouncy. Get on the putting surface, no such thing though, pure putting surfaces.
Yeah, they are rolling really well at the moment, in spite of the dry weather. And you were talking about the dry fairways and whatnot. And that in itself presents its own challenges, because you can end up with some average lies if you miss the fairway, and you have to become very creative and very improvisational in those situations. So definitely of the utmost importance to keep the ball in play. And I think on that note, it's worth giving a shout out to the greenkeepers here. They've done a great job getting the course in fantastic condition.
Yeah, in very challenging conditions with lack of water. So this for par.
And that's almost like dropping 2 shots here on the 10th hole. He's already struggling today, Peter Cook. 4 over par through 9.
It was a prime example too of the putting we just spoke about, wasn't it? Because he didn't want to be too aggressive. He didn't start it on the right line. And he'll take the applause, but I don't think he's going to be too happy about the result. It's the sort of putt that if you're confident, you'll put a bit of speed on and take the break out, won't you? But you can tell he wasn't confident, just trying to lag it in, so to speak. Marquezani with the putter just off the fringe.
Mentioned his 2017, he had 5 top 10s, including a win on the PGA Tour China that year in Hong Kong. So certainly made his presence felt in Australasian golf. His father actually played VFL, Frank Fitzroy. Mcardle with the birdie there on number 8. Man who has also been playing PGA Tour China, based in Adelaide. And just want to clarify, the third member of this group, Denzel Ermia, this is actually his debut as a professional this week.
What a debut it is. He's come in confidently, hasn't he? We were talking to him on the range earlier this morning and really looked relaxed and enjoying the opportunity.
Well, I think so many of these young players now, they're just so ready to hit the ground running once they do turn professional. Good par save there.
It's an even par for the day at 8 under for the tournament. Rounds of 65 and 67 on day 1, day 2.
Iowa State University grad. He'll be playing next week in the New Zealand Open in Queenstown. Marquezani went to Oklahoma City College. His younger brother Anthony also attended that school in the United States. Good 3. Good crowd behind the 8th green there. Peter Wilson, second shot. No, this will be his 3rd shot on the 9th hole. Tough par 4. You can certainly get into a fair bit of trouble off the tee there. 411 metres uphill, and it's very tight, Todd.
And what a good chip too, because that bunker, he had to come over there. It's got a real crown on the edge to it and could easily have pushed that one well left and left himself with a much longer par save. Wonderful touch.
That was Ben Ferguson. His 3rd shot from over the back of the 9th hole.
We had a look at that today. You can see the variation in the colour there as you get away from the green, where they've struggled with the water and keeping it up. And if you miss a little bit there and get a hard bounce on the 9th on the left side, boy, you are out of bounds in a heartbeat.
Novocastrian, James Niddies.
Well, the way this pin looks now, if you can pick the right club, you've got a real good birdie opportunity, putting it into that little bit of a backstop, bring it back down into the hole, towards the hole.
Even par today through 7 holes.
The hole itself playing exactly 125 metres with that front pin. He's just got it on that top ledge, a little unlucky. Right over the top of that flagstick, and look at it, not a breath of wind here today. So good scoring conditions.
This is Andrew Evans from Sydney. Played the Japanese tour last year. He was runner-up, if you remember, at the 2015 Australian Masters, losing by 1 stroke to Peter Senior. Very consistent player. Played with a couple of rounds of golf with him and doesn't really do too much wrong. Real weaknesses in his game. Also 3rd in Fiji a couple of years ago. It's such a fine line for these players between this and the PGA Tour. I mean, the level of golf they play is certainly good enough. Just getting the opportunity and running with it.
We were talking about the quality of field. Peter Senior, you mentioned, he played here this week. Unfortunately, didn't make the weekend. 3 over par, I think he was. But alongside of another PGA Tour winner, and Peter Lonard. So some class players, more of the senior level, as we go back to Nathan Green, of course, the PGA Tour winner, won the Canadian Championships. And
Nathan Green made $7 million in 8 seasons on the PGA Tour. Had a hole-in-one on the 16th at Augusta National, final round of the Masters in 2010. And a great shot there from Greeny's reinvigorated his game, teaching with his brother at Toronto Country Club in Newcastle these days. Good save there from Ferguson on 9.
Yeah, wonderful story about Nathan Green and the last couple of years and the teaching and the young golfers that are coming through their program. And then he's taken some of those young players and used them as caddies at major championships. What an opportunity for those young golfers.
I think it's a great way to give back as well. Kari Webb's done a similar thing with younger players.
This is a good story. First time we've seen Dean Lawson today.
Great camera follow there. Loves the par threes. Won a $250,000 BMW just over a month ago for a hole-in-one.
He's still trying to work out how to drive it back from South Africa.
Good putt there. A couple of good putts from Peter Wilson, taking advantage of leaving the flagstick in. That's a good par on number 9.
And off to a good steady start today, Dean. He's 1 under through 7 holes, sitting at 10 under, but you're going to have to pick up some ground because Lincoln Ty has broken away a little bit, 16 under par. Daniel Nesbitt is hanging on to him though, just 2 behind, both 3 under for their round today.
Should be a formality here for Andrew Evans on number 9 to remain at 9 under par.
David Michael Uzi continues a pretty hot round today. He's birdied another hole and is 6 under through 12. Back-to-back birdies on 10 and 11, par 12.
Dean Lawson, one of the few players, Todd, that has completed his traineeship. He did that at Curl Lewis Golf Club just outside of Melbourne. Many of these players these days tend to just go straight from amateur to tour school and turn professional, but he chose to go that route.
I read a great article that he co-authored about his experiences at the end of last year at the European qualifying in Spain, and the final round, the final few holes, and being on the bubble to get his European Tour card and making a 50-footer on the 16th to get himself back inside the number, and how 1 putt has changed his career path.
I remember Rick Kulak, who's playing here this weekend, back in 2010, holed about a 40 or a 50-footer on the final green to make to earn his European Tour card on the number, and it's it's that fine line on the other end of the spectrum. Dimi Papadatos, who's been showing some great form of late. I think it was 3 years ago. He only had to make a double bogey on the 108th hole of the European Q School to get his European Tour card, and he made triple bogey and missed by 1. So that's how fine a line it is. And it's a difference between playing for millions of dollars and the glitz and the glamour of the major tours versus, sort of, I wouldn't say slumming it, but struggling away on the 2nd and 3rd tier tours in relative anonymity. You can see where Nitties is looking here. This one's going to break severely from left to right. I remember I played all my junior golf with James. I've known him from a very young age, and he was certainly touted as one of the next big things 15 years ago when he turned pro. He actually finished 2nd in the Australian PGA Championship back in 2004 and was living up to all the hype. Earned his PGA Tour card 11 years ago. A couple of top 5s on the PGA Tour, and then just been a struggle the last few years, but a lot of players go through it. They say form is temporary, class is permanent. Pretty good lag.
And a good example there of what we see on a lot of the greens here at the City Golf Club, where you've got varying levels that you have to get your ball upon the right level to give yourself a good birdie opportunity. But for these guys, a lot of those holes, they're hitting short clubs in, so if they're on the fairway, they should be able to get the good and appropriate distance control.
You can hear the Australian Magpies chirping there in the background. Caroling away. Dean Lawson uphill, right to left putt to get to 11 under par. Dean Lawson. Oh, the crowd loves that one.
And hugged the hole, didn't it? And decided that it wanted to see the bottom of it. So that was perfectly weighted.
Very consistent player, Dean. Good to see him in his first foray into professional golf in Europe this year, how he does. There's a lot to learn your first year on tour, and he's played up in China, he's played in Asia, so he's familiar with the travel. This year he'll be just adjusting to new climates, new golf courses.
We were talking to Nathan Green as he lines up his birdie opportunity on the range this morning. And it was interesting listening to his psyche at the moment because he's enjoying playing, but a different mental approach than what he had when he was playing at his best.
This should be a very straight uphill putt. Good opportunity to be firm with this one. Just look at the back of the cup. Oh, you can see it lacked a little bit of pace, broke away to the left.
And my mental approach, he says, you know, when I'm playing well, it's all good. He says, I don't get myself out of trouble as well as I used to, and that type of struggle. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because the expectations become different, and you're not as fearless when you get to his age as what you were when you're just sort of making your way and getting those opportunities for the first time.
Good 3 from Nitties there, remains at -8. Yeah, I'd like to elaborate a little on that point with Nathan Green when we get a chance. Come back to that.
Well, this is how things stand halfway through the front 9 in our leading group. Lincoln Ty, 3 under par and 16 under total. 2 behind is Daniel Nisbet, also 3 under for the day, and David Michael Uzi, the hot player on the course, with a score of 6 under today. He sits at 11. Jared Felton also putting a nice round together at 5 under, and that's how things stand as we take a break. We'll be back with more from the Queensland PGA Championships in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Peter Lunnard.
I'm Aaron Townsend.
I'm Dave Branston. I'm from Sale Golf Club, and you're watching PGA TV.
It's just such an easy and beautiful lifestyle that Toowoomba's offered. You can't replace that. You see so many people leave Toowoomba and come back because of that climate, that green change.
Biggest thing that surprised me, even though it was a big city, it was still like a big country town. You know, it's got a university, it's got hospitals and all the schools, but it's still like a small country town. The city has grown so much in the 12 years we've been here, but even now, I'll go downtown and there's always someone to say hello to.
Sweet love, never make you cry.
5-year unlimited kilometre warranty on our SUV range. Volkswagen.
Well, welcome back to the Coca-Cola Queensland PGA Championships, and we are in Toowoomba. It's the Garden City, regional city in the Darling Downs region of Queensland, just 125 kilometres west of Brisbane, and it is a beautiful city to come and visit. This is Denzel Remia of New Zealand, and a perfect approach.
Remia represented New Zealand in the World Amateur Teams Championship in Ireland last year. Certainly big prospect, big things expected of him in New Zealand. Living up to the hype right now.
Yeah, he comes out of Hamilton, and he says that his favourite club in his bag is his 60-degree wedge, and he looked like that might have been the one in his hand just then.
It's interesting that a professional would say that. Most say the driver, but you know, if you asked most kids what club they favoured. A lot of them would say the sand wedge or the lob wedge, because you can be so creative with it. See the group of Mcardle, Uremia, Marcassani sizing up their putts there on the 9th green. Very tricky greens here, Todd. We had a good look at the golf course yesterday afternoon, and we've been here before, and just a lot of subtle breaks and a lot of greens where the back half of the green all slopes away off the putting surface, which you don't see too often, which makes lag putting like this one extremely difficult. You can see that his putt, the first half of the putt is uphill, and it all goes the other way over the hill. So anything really within a couple of feet from here is going to be well done. And this is where I believe it's advantageous to leave the flagstick in. Obviously, if the ball hits the flagstick, it could either go in or stop it from going 10, 15 feet past. But just visually as well, it gives you, I believe it gives you a better chance of being able to control the speed better. He's renowned as a great putter, Marcassani. Beautiful lag. You heard his playing partner there say great roll. Not wrong. Taps in for a par. A par, a good score on the 9th hole. Playing as the second most difficult hole here at Toowoomba. 18th, the most difficult. Now here is the leading group. This is Daniel Nisbet. And in the left-hand corner of your screen there, that's Lincoln Ty, the man who he's chasing. It's the tee shot on the par 3/8, winning twice last year. He knows exactly how to get the job done. Tough competitor, the man from Caboolture. Interesting fact, Todd, they're both coached by Richard Woodhouse. It's based on the Gold Coast. So I know Richard's watching with eager anticipation this weekend. Here's Max Mcardle on 9. This for a birdie. Uphill, right to left. Just lacked a little bit of speed. Australia's native animal. Putting him off there, the fly. That's the one I worry about, the tap in with the flag stick in. Because can the ball get wedged? Can the flag stick stop it from going in and actually come back at you? I think you've got to be careful on those ones so the flag stick's not leaning towards you.
Well, here is the birdie opportunity for Uremia. See whether he can take advantage of that perfect wedge shot. And he does. So
and good comeback too, Todd, after that start.
1 under through his front 9 after a bit of a nervous start.
Well, they're two distinctly different 9s here. Get back to that. Lincoln Ty. And from Port Kembla, just south of Sydney.
Well, and of course it's not dissimilar to this one. There's, in terms of the grasses and the greens. And that'll be an interesting putt from over there.
Yeah, he's not going to be too pleased at all with that one. Big breaking left to right putt.
A lot more undulation and slopes in terms of some uphill, downhill type shots here than Port Kembla, but very, very similar between fairways and edges of greens and the way the ball will come off the club.
Daniel Pearce is one of the few players over par in his round today. He'll have a good chance to get that back here at number 8. A beautiful tee shot. I remember when he won 2 years ago here, early in the final round, he had an 8-shot lead and ended up winning a playoff with Matthew Miller, who was also runner-up last year. He's certainly got some nice growth going there with that beard. Very impressive.
It'll be hot out there today. Yesterday the players came in off the course in the afternoon and they were red. It was really warm conditions. A hot, dry summer all over Australia, in particular still here. Interesting part of the world. It's 700 metres above sea level here at Toowoomba. We mentioned on top of the Darling Downs. And hot during the day, cools off nicely in the evening and early mornings. It's nice and crisp. So it's a beautiful part of the world in terms of the difference in climate that it gets for Queensland. So perfect drive here, right in the centre of the fairway. This one not so in the centre. That's James Nitty's, but a perfect look at the green. Probably has to be a little left of this flag to take that bunker, right-hand bunker, out of play.
Well, the whole location is 19 on and 6 from the right, and even though he's coming from the right-hand side, it's a good flag for James because he likes to hit the ball a little bit from left to right. One of the few players who really hits a good solid power fade. Most players like to hit the ball a little bit right to left. James has always been the other way. Strong left-hand grip, lays it off a little bit at the top. Really gets that club in beautiful position coming down. Certainly a swing that's self-taught, but as he cuts across it. This one fading in. It was a good line, but it's a similar position to where we saw James Marcassani putt from.
Well, that was the caddy's fault, which is himself as well this week. He's pulling his own buggy.
It's Nathan Green in the middle of the fairway. What a career he's had. A winner in the US. He's also a winner on the European Tour, a winner on our tour, a winner on the Canadian Tour. Wife Michelle was also a very, very good golfer as well. A year older than me, played a lot of schoolboy and schoolgirl golf with her. He doesn't like that one. Oh, that's come out hot. That's got to sit down. Oh, lucky there, Todd. If that goes another 2 or 3 metres, that hits the bank and goes out of bounds.
Yep, that gets a hard kick left, and it will get onto that slippery, dry, deadish grass that we talked about. So here is that difficult putt of our leader, Lincoln Ty, having to judge this perfectly. That's going to be just under the hole, but leaves himself with a nice uphill putt.
Not too bad at all from where he was. Poor tee shot with a wedge. So if he can get away with 3, he'll certainly take that. I think it's remarkable what Lincoln Ty's doing. His first tournament in 12 months, and here he is leading.
This is a great
16
story.
under. Oh.
Yeah, maybe you can fill us in on the backstory to why he's been out of the game.
Broke his hand a year ago playing a tournament at Royal Pines, shattered the bones in his hand. We quite often hear about golfers injuring their wrists. His was his actual hand. Now, Lawson, second shot from the left-hand side on 9. Good angle to the flag. And look at that, even from the rough, getting that spin. That landed 3 or 4 feet from the hole. But yeah, what Lincoln Ty is doing is quite remarkable. I mean, as you can tell, he's a big fella. And prior to him getting injured, he was actually really struggling with his game. So that time away from the game, he has been quoted as saying he gained a much better perspective for what being a professional golfer actually is and the opportunities that we have. And perhaps it was not that you want to be injured like that, but a little bit of a blessing in disguise to get his head right, so to speak. This man hasn't needed to get his head right, the form that he's been in.
Bit of a misclub there, though, on the short par 3, as we mentioned, only playing 125 metres to the front pin. And he's flown that one a good 12 metres past.
It's interesting, Daniel Nisbet's been working hard on his putting with Richard Woodhouse, his coach, just making adjustments to the handle position at address, which he feels great about. And obviously working this week. Andrew Evans. This, I would assume, is for a birdie at 10, the par 5. We'll roll with it anyway, it sounds better. I think that would be a birdie, though. That would get him to -10. Man who did his traineeship at Bexley Golf Club in Sydney, the first golf course that I joined.
Played Bexley. Nicely holed there.
We'll get Daniel Pearce back to even par for the day. Mentioned that Richard Woodhouse working with both Daniel Nisbet and Lincoln Ty. Well, Richard has said that, you know, Lincoln coming back from his surgery, he's been a little easier than expected. Come back to that. It's Nathan Green's 3rd on 9. Wonder if he would have putted that in his heyday, in his prime. That was...
Well, it's interesting, so far today we've seen everybody putt just from the fringe.
Well, it's not easy to make solid contact off this Kikuyu grass from just off the green. This is Daniel Nisbet putting first for a par on 8. We remain at 14 under and 2 behind Lincoln Ty. Nicely done. He's actually He'll be defending in Queenstown next week, where he shot a record 29 under par last year on his way to winning that title.
Yeah, he had a very good season, didn't he? 2 wins last year, also won in the NT.
Couldn't get
PGA Championships.
Couldn't get two more distinctly different
No.
places to win, Darwin and Queenstown. Well, we saw this putt earlier from James Marcassani. Todd, he did a great job in getting the speed right. It's uphill, moving a little bit right to left, but the difficult part is the last 8 to 10 feet of the putt, the ball actually goes away from you, so it's not easy to get the speed right.
And that one has got away from him. That'll be testing to save par. Just got a bit aggressive at the top of that slope there. Too much pace. That'll have given Dean Lawson a bit of feedback on what he needs to do from a slightly different angle, but he's still got to get up to the top of that slope and let it feed down into the hole.
Well, this is a really tricky one because the first 3-4 feet of the putt, it actually goes to the right before it starts moving back to the left. See, that's gone a little right, now it's going left. It's actually a pretty good putt. It really was not an easy putt at all, and you certainly take 4 on 9 every day. That's a 2 under par front 9 for Dean Lawson. You don't see too many golf courses that are par 70s where the front 9s are par 33, and the back 9s are 37. The back 9's definitely the scoreable 9 here. So if you can get round the front 9 in under par, certainly feel good about your chances to shoot something in the mid-60s. Middies would have got a good look at the ball going past the hole.
It's not the sort of length you want for par, though, is it?
Not at all, and -8, currently in a tie for 11th. The leaders now at 14 and 16 under. You don't want to be dropping any shots at this point.
And just didn't hit it firm enough. The line was fine if he had kept the pace up. So a drop shot, 3 putt from Niddies.
I know both James and Nathan Green were really looking forward to their group today. Good friends, both from Newcastle region. They go way back. But
How much of a difference does that make when you, is it good to play with people you know and like? Does that help your game, or is it a case of actually you maybe sit back and relax a little too much?
Yeah, I always enjoyed it. I mean, whereas I always enjoyed playing with my friends, obviously, but at the same time, someone like Dean Lawson, it's just all business for him out there. I mean, he's friends with Nathan and James, but at the same time, he can just focus more on the task at hand. That's a good save from Nathan Green. You see it quite often with players playing well and playing poorly. They can certainly feed off one another in both capacities.
So Nathan Green turns at 1 over through the front 9. So, oh dear, that was for par. So Lincoln Tye drops a shot on the 8th with a 3 putt.
That was the 8th hole.
Yes.
Perhaps Nostradamus is predicting a bogey on 9.
Well, he's hot out of the collar, or he should be after that stroke. That was a pull, wasn't it? So let's hope that he has time as he crosses back over that bridge to cool off as he gets to the tee. And
Lincoln Tye is actually at 15 under par there because he's playing with Daniel Nisbet. That was a bogey on 8. So Lincoln's 15 under. He's 1 ahead of Daniel Nisbet, but a bogey from Tye just brings a few more players back into the picture. And Harrison Endicott, young Sydney sider, going along really well today. He was a runner-up last year at the Victorian Open.
young Cameron John is having a hot day out there, 5 under par through 13 holes and climbing the leaderboard. We were chatting to him earlier too, out on the range.
You were talking about what a great competitor Cameron John is for someone so young. He's only 19.
And he turned pro early. He decided there, he needed to get out and play. And for him, that's actually a good thing, I thought. And look, he was winner of the Argentinian Amateur, the Victorian Amateur. He won the Scottish stroke play, and he was winning a lot as a young player. So it was hard to just hang around and go play the same tournaments again that you've already been successful in. So this is our first look at the back 9. This would be the 15th, I think, par 3.
That's David Michael Uzi, and who we've spoken about. That's not where you want to miss it on 15, down there to the left. You just saw how steep a bank that is, but he's made a great fist of it with that chip shot. He's playing with Scott Arnold, the young.
And you can get some cruddy lies over there this year because it's so dry. And previous years it's had a pretty good grass covering, so it was a consistent chip shot. But this year you can get some very bare and different type lies. So that's how things stand at the moment. Michael Uzi marking his ball. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more from the Coca-Cola Queensland PGA Championships.
Hi, I'm Anthony Quayle from Sanctuary Cove on the Gold Coast. I hope you're enjoying watching PGA TV. Bang.
My favourite thing about golf that it's fun to play and I like to play with other people.
With my golf and what they're doing, you know, it's huge for junior golfers like Isaac.
Oh, that's the best part. On the tee, one of the stars of our My Golf program, Zoe Manton. She's got a fabulous swing, and at her age, I think we're going to see a star in the making. Yeah, great shot.
My advice to the My Golf kids would probably be always have fun. I think that's most important, because if you don't love something, you're not always going to be passionate about doing it. Just play and just have fun.
It's good to see so many junior players playing golf. I grew up kind of in rural Australia, and there wasn't this many junior golfers that I got to hang around with, so there's a lot of competition between you guys, which is great.
Hi, mate.
Oh, welcome back to the Coca-Cola PGA Queensland PGA Championships in the city of Toowoomba. We've got a beautiful day here today. Perfect conditions for good scoring. Just a little light breeze. That flag just fluttering in the right-hand corner of your picture there as we take a look back down the fairway on the 9th hole. And our leading group here, you can see there in the middle of the fairway, just replacing a ball. We have preferred lies here because of the drought and the way the course is at the moment. So the players, if they're on the fairway, have that opportunity to replace and give themselves a slightly better lie. There are, this fairway in particular, you can see is actually quite green, but there are parts of the course that are a bit dry and the ball sitting down in some difficult positions. So the tournament allowing that this week.
Well, the drought has really affected a lot of Queensland. I know where I spend a lot of my time here on the Sunshine Coast. There's barely any green at all there at the moment, and as I said before, it's a testament to the greenkeepers here and all the green staff here, the job that they've done to get the course in such great shape. You can see how green it's looking. You see the ball there slightly above Daniel Nisbet's feet, which makes it very, very difficult to get the ball anywhere near a right hole location. Well, it's a beautiful shot, but same as Dean Lawson, just a little too much spin. But the difficulty there, Todd, is if you fly it any further on the green, the slope actually goes away from you, so it won't spin back. It's just a shot that you've got to get the distance right, but try and somehow take the spin off of it.
So Lincoln Ty, he's second, as we mentioned. Coming off the 3-putt bogey on the last, so this is an opportunity with a short club in hand to try to put one close, so you can get that shot back. He's not happy. That's gone right by the looks of it.
Oh no, short siding, and the bunkers are perfect here, but coming in with a wedge, be careful that that ball hasn't buried. And the Lincoln Tie was in contention to win the 2015 Australian Open Championship at the Australian. He's a physical specimen, Lincoln Tie.
Well, today's going to be a difficult day for him, isn't it? With rounds of 63, 64, leading a tournament, having not played much for you. There would have been a lot of thinking going on overnight in the position I'm in, and you know, you start to get ahead of yourself.
Well, this is a huge test for him now, because at 16 under par playing the previous hole, nothing had gone wrong for him all week. He's coming off a bogey, now a poor wedge into a bunker. This is the first time he's really had to face adversity. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles it. Daniel Pearce's approach into the 9th. Be interesting to see if that was his 2nd or 3rd, because I did see him walking out of the tree, so maybe his 3rd shot. And from New Zealand, playing up in China, the PGA Tour of China. That was his 3rd shot.
Well, it's an interesting course, because we talked about how you can shoot some really good scores here because you've got a lot of wedges into holes. But if you get too aggressive, this is Michael Uzi to tidy up for par on the 15th, keep his good round flowing, and he does. But if there are, it can suck you in on the tee to say, I'll hit driver, hit as far as I can, and you put it in the trees here, and a double can come quickly. So Michael Uzi there, the amateur with his Australian bag, represented Australia in many events in his illustrious career.
The 9th hole here at City Golf Club is actually one of the most challenging off the tee. It is super narrow and it's still pretty lengthy, 400-metre par 4, and it's a dogleg up around to the left-hand side. So trees surrounding the fairway, a fairway bunker that could come into play as well. So it is really important to hit your drive on the short stuff. As I've mentioned, the 9th hole really is one of the most narrow holes, especially off the tee on the entire golf course. So once you get up to around about the 250 mark to 260 mark, you can see this fairway shrinks. All of a sudden, it's pretty narrow up here, but then uphill to the green, which is guarded by the front left bunker and a back right hand bunker as well. But most of the putting surface is actually blind from the approach shot, so trusting that yardage is going to be really important, especially from these uphill lies. Perhaps one of the more subtle features of the 9th hole is actually the swales around to the left-hand side that will push any golf balls that are pulled off the approach all the way down into those trees. So that's something you need to be really wary of, especially with these grainy lies. Now the green itself, well, it's pretty flat by Toowoomba standards, but you can see a little bit of a flat section in the front, a small ridge running through the green over here, and then a little bit of a gradual rise into that back right-hand corner. So again, trying to give yourself a straight putt uphill is going to be really important.
Well, Ali Whitaker there explaining the difficulties of this hole, and Lincoln Tie has put him in one of those areas that Ali said to keep away from. So an up and down here would be exceptional. And he's going to have, what about 15, maybe 20 feet there to save his par.
He's very lucky he had a good lie there, because if that was buried, he wouldn't have been able to keep that on the green, and over the back of the green is out of bounds. So he was lucky that ball didn't bury with a wedge.
We can see there Ali Whitaker came up here just before summer when you come out of winter and things are nice and green, and you can see what the heat of summer and lack of rain since then's done to the course, to the edges.
You remember the European summer last year? Remember watching the Open Championship at Carnoustie? That golf course was brown. In fact, places like Norway were experiencing a drought, which is completely unheard of. They were getting temperatures in the mid to high 30s Celsius, which is completely out of character. So it's a global issue. Yet I was at Pebble Beach 2 weeks ago and it was snowing just outside of Pebble Beach, which had never happened there. So just bizarre things going on.
So here is the putt that we've seen in the previous group where you have to judge that speed. Get it to the top of that crest. It's a little steeper than what it looks, and let it just feed down to the hole. From about there, and this is done beautifully. Oh, what a roll. You can feel a little maybe disappointed it didn't go in, but at the same time walk in, tap it in. A nice par.
See the logo on his shirt there, Nisfit. His wife, Ashley, personal trainer. He's got a good team of people around him, Daniel Nisbet. 30 the front 9. Excellent scoring, just the one blemish. Good opportunity to pick up multiple birdies, maybe even an eagle or two on the back 9.
So the two members of this final group, though, struggling to make par. 2 long putts required if they're going to do that.
Lincoln Ty, I'm sure, will be watching this one closely. He's coined just to the right of where Daniel Pearce was putting from. And a good effort. You saw that ball just die away to the right at the end. 1 over par for 9 holes. Tell you what, you don't see too many players playing with a watch on these days either. Most people just looking at their phones for the time.
So second shot on the 10th from the bottom of this hole. Big slope up the hill, trying to reach into par 5, but most players able to reach comfortably in 2. Just not quite getting to the putting surface.
Not a bad miss though. Up and down for a birdie.
Guesstimating as we see Lincoln Ty co-leader, this one for par.
Well, I'm interested to see how he handles these mistakes. Lincoln get down on himself, not too badly, but he does get a little bit negative in his body language, and he just tapped that one in. But 2 bogeys in a row. He hasn't done that yet this week.
And 2 bad misses too, with 2 wedges. 2 short club. They're scoring opportunities when you've got those clubs in your hand at this level.
And that brings a lot of players back into it as well. You've now got 4 or 5 players who are at 11 under par. Excuse me, 3 players at 11 under par who are only 3 strokes behind now. It looked like 20 minutes ago that Lincoln Ty and Daniel Nisbet were running away with it, but not so. Everyone on that leaderboard certainly well within reach of the leaders.
And 3 young players making a charge too. You could actually 4 in Iramia as well. Cameron John, 19. David Michael Uzi, still just an amateur. And Jared Felton, I still call him a youngster as well, even though he's got good experience. He's the one of the young pros you expect a breakthrough from in the next couple of years. And I mean by breakthrough, getting onto one of the big tours and really taking off.
Got all the promise in the world. He's won twice on our tour. His girlfriend Hannah Green certainly making her presence felt over in the United States on the LPGA tour. Scott Arnold there from the Cronulla Golf Club. He's at 9 under par, going along well today.
Page 2, Blake Proverbs 4 under. A good round for him today, and Michael Sim 3 under through 12 with plenty of birdie opportunities to get towards double digits on day 3.
I think if you can get within 5 to 6 shots of the leaders going into tomorrow, there's definitely a realistic opportunity to win this tournament, because we saw Maverick Ankliff last year shot a 62.
Historically, the final day here, someone does go low early and put a bit of pressure on, and the leading groups, you'll see them go maybe 3 or 4 under, but they don't go deep, do they? They sort of get to that feel, they start to play hang-on golf.
That's right. Remember Tim Hart here 3 years ago shot a 61 in the final round, which included, believe it or not, a triple bogey on the final hole for that 61. Last year I mentioned Maverick Ankliff for 62. David Gleeson, 3-time winner on the Asian Tour, playing some good golf. I remember being a 14-year-old watching David Gleeson, the Australian amateur champion, play alongside Greg Norman at the Australian Open the year that Greg Norman won by 8 at the Australian. Touted as one of our next best prospects. Remember Stephen Jeffress was tied for 2nd here last year. Good effort for him to make the cut. He was 5 over after 3 holes in this tournament.
Wow.
Andrew Dote, 2-time winner on the European Tour. He's at 3 under par.
He made the cut on the number. The cut here this weekend at 1 under par.
Charlie Dan, just recently turned professional from the Sunshine Coast. 2 under par. Troy Kennedy, had a chat to Troy this morning, living in Charlotte, North Carolina these days. Been over there for about 5 years. The brother of Brad Kennedy, who was runner-up.
Yeah, played so well at the Vic Open. And brothers both playing well. He's come back home just for a little while to show off a newborn.
Yeah, 7-month-old baby. He'll be turning 1-year-old on July the 8th this year.
And this rounds out the field that made the cut here at the Queensland PGA Championships.
1 under par the cut, so all of those players making the weekend. Good effort.
Well, we're lucky here at the Coca-Cola Queensland PGA to have the support of the Toowoomba Regional Council. They've been terrific in helping support the City Golf Club and inviting tourists into this region, and it is a beautiful part of the world. It is the gateway to the Darling Downs, and one of the interesting parts of that, as we spoke a little earlier, 700 metres above sea level. It's a beautiful drive as you go back down in towards Brisbane.
That is exquisitely done from James Nitties. That was one of those chip shots that I've always found extremely difficult. You play a normal chip and you won't be able to stop the ball anywhere near it, but nor was it one of those shots where you really needed to play a flop shot either. It was somewhere in between, and the amount of spin that he created on that from such a short distance was quite incredible.
So this is just off the fringe, an uphill putt, so it's all about just getting the right speed, but it's an eagle opportunity. Hello? Oh, he gave it a good run, didn't he? So that'll be a tap-in birdie for Nathan Green to get it back to even par for the day. He doesn't like the flag in like that. Look, he took it away. I had a couple of hits during the week, and every now and then you've got a little tap in like that. And later in the afternoon, the shadows come. You think you've got the flag starts waving over your ball. There's all sorts of different variables, and got to say, from an amateur perspective at club level, it's not making the game any faster, because there are people saying, I'll try it with it in, I'll try it with it out, I'll try it here, and it's all over the shop. But
it's interesting, because that's one of the reasons they did do that.
It hasn't done that at club level. It's sort of actually made it, everybody's asking everybody, and there's one wants it, one doesn't want it, and it's
good point.
It's still a trial, you could almost say. So this, after that wonderful little chip for birdie for Nitties.
Using the claw grip, Nitties. He was such a good putter as a junior, as an amateur when he putted conventionally. He's been using this claw grip for a few years now. Oh. And that's the exact same thing that I said when Michael Sim was putting before. You catch the high side when you hit it firmly.
You got the same length again. You're talking about putting strokes, and if as a young player being natural and then going to a change of grip, a player that stands out for me that I spent a lot of time around was Mark O'Meara, who was one of the purest putters. All just made putts from everywhere. And eventually, as his career moved towards the seniors, he's gone to different claws, and it's fascinating to watch how those nerves and sight lines and everything start to change as you get older. I'm sure some of it has to do with eyes and vision. And
I think a lot of it's just mental, scar tissue as well.
Body shape changing, perhaps. Well, that's a missed opportunity. Nice par, but he will be ruining that birdie that didn't go down.
Now, this is Dean Lawson. This is to get to 12 under par. Put him in outright third position. He's yet to win, Dean. He's had a lot of high finishes, but sneaks that one in, but it's in the bottom of the cup. He's only 2 strokes behind. One of the very few players that plays without a glove.
And he's got a lovely demeanour too, doesn't he? He's got a good temperament for golf.
We have a golfer in the trees. A place I am very familiar with. Trying to get word on who that is in there. But look for a low left to right shot out of here. That looks like Daniel Pearce. the blue shirt. That is Daniel Pearce. Starting at left. Is it cutting? Yeah, not a bad effort. Plenty of green to work with. Get it up and down for a birdie to get him back to level par for the round. Lincoln Ty also over there in the trees on the right-hand side. That's actually Daniel Nisbet. Lincoln Ty, the longest hitter out here, Todd. Club head speed in excess of 120, 130 miles an hour. Very powerful, powerful lad.
It's nearly double mine. You think I'm joking? So, does he see a shot here? Can he start this one low, run it up this hill? Got to carry bunkers at the front there, so he'll have to get it low, then get it rising like an aeroplane taking off.
Oh, he's done just that. And he's short-sighted himself. Ooh.
Will it come up? No, it won't come off the back of the hill.
That is going to be a quick chip from there. And one of the things that you would have noticed, if you were watching the coverage of the Australian events the last few weeks, the ability for the crowds to be able to walk with the players. We saw it at the Victorian Open. You were there, Todd, walking with the players there. It's phenomenal. It's a throwback to the 70s, the 80s, even the 90s when the crowds were able to do it. And just that intimate experience that you get from being able to watch them up close. And for kids that, you know, harbour desires to play the game professionally, what a wonderful insight to be able to get so close to them.
And one of the things that stands out too from that perspective is the opportunity to stand behind the players and see the ball flight and the shot shaping, which you don't get to see when you have to stand behind ropes. And that's one of the key things that the spectators really love about that. You know, interesting too, with the format like it is here and at the Vic Open is...
That, by the way, that's Lincoln Ty's second shot onto this par 5 from the left-hand tree. So great shot from Lincoln Ty.
It is the players get used to having people around them and then a little bit of noise, and they're not as distracted as they are when everything is so perfect with the ropes. It's a different mindset altogether.
Peter Wilson at 12. This for birdie to get to -9. First putt we've seen him miss today. He's been rolling the ball beautifully. But one of the things that I often tell aspiring professionals and youngsters, I noticed this when I do stuff over in the United States for the PGA Tour. Just at Pebble Beach a couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to walk around with Dustin Johnson and Jordan Spieth. When you walk 18 holes with any player, it doesn't matter how good they are, golfers that I've just mentioned that have won major championships, you'll notice that they all hit bad shots. Everyone hits bad shots. So you get the ability to see how they recover from it and also how they handle it all mentally and keep their emotions in check. Because quite often, you know, people think that these top players just hit awesome shots, and you see that they're at 14 under, 15 under. That's just incredible golf, which it is. But, you know, you still get to see that, you know, they do hit bad shots as well.
You can see there the graphic and join the conversation at PGA of Australia on Twitter. Throw us a couple of questions if it's something that you want from our expert Ewan Porter to be able to let you know as we're in commentary throughout today and tomorrow. We'd be happy to be all inclusive.
You use that term very loosely, expert.
Well, yeah, streets ahead of me. So this will test his touch, won't it? So he's in the Kikuyu up the top there. So explain to us what the difficulties are about chipping off this thick, steely type of grass.
Well, two things typically happen off Kikuyu. The leading edge can just stick into the ground and you'll flub the ball straight in front of you, or you'll do what James Nitties did and you're able to get a lot more spin off Kikuyu than you are in other types of grasses. This is Daniel Pearce. He's first to play. He's another one putting it from well off the putting surface, but this is uphill, breaking slightly left to right.
And he's judged it very well. He'll have a straight uphill putt from there.
The tough one for Nisbet from behind this green is that he's playing off a little bit of a downslope, but it's all downhill.
If it comes out a little hot here, he could be on the front edge.
It all depends on what type of lie he's got.
He's got about, what would you say, maybe 3 feet past that pin to where it starts to really take off. He can land it there.
Oh, He has played an absolute gem.
Well, and that applause, it wasn't loud enough considering how good that was, because as we mentioned, you only need to be where that marker is just behind, and that would have been down at the front edge. So sensational, and that will be a tap-in birdie. He'll put that away straight away.
And that's 4 under par for the day for Daniel Nisbet. He's now at 15 under. He's currently outright leader, but remember Lincoln Ty has this putt for eagle, so he would leapfrog Nisbet back to 16 under par where he was when we first joined the coverage today.
So explain potentially, you know, he drives the ball so long, very powerful. What about the touch, putting and chipping of the big man?
It's the putting that can let him down at times. I like the cross-handed action with his putting. He never used to putt cross-handed, but takes the right hand out of it a little bit more, keeps the shoulders level.
And a good lag. It would have been a bonus to make that one. With you can see the break as it started to lose its pace, and a simple tap-in birdie, and regains the lead.
Jared Felton just birdied 16. He's currently 7 under for the round at 12 under par, 3 strokes behind. Remember, 17 is a par 5 as well, so good opportunity for Felt to grab another one there. This is Pearce to get to 9 under par and move into a share of 8th position. Oh, we saw Nitties miss a short one there, and we also saw Dean Lawson just lip it in from a couple of feet as well. Very tricky hole location, and things not going how Daniel Pearce planned today. Very few players over par for the round.
Talk about Jared Felton's card, 7 birdies and an eagle, along with 2 bogeys. So he's been hot, hasn't he? Still got a par 5 to come, the 17th, which is reachable in 2 with a good drive off the tee.
This is Matt Dowling on the par 3, the 15th. The whole location, 19 on, 5 from the left. Very accessible today. Beautiful shot there. The young Victorian on this 140-metre par 3. Players coming in with no more than a 9-iron, a little bit down the hill. Lincoln Ty probably a lob wedge.
I guess one of the things you have to adjust and be able to manage well in your distance control here is there's some steep slopes around. You're coming up hills, you're coming across hills, and that's got to be put into the equation of your ball flight and club selection. So,
and the elevation that you mentioned as well, at 700 metres above sea level, the ball's going to travel a little bit further. And that's one of the nuances of playing professional golf. We spoke about this last year.
When I got here and was hitting a few, it was just that I'd been to the gym last week. So this is the 12th green. Iramia of New Zealand, Denzel. 1 under today, started the day at 8 under par.
If your name is Denzel Iramia, you're just going to be a superstar, aren't you? It's one of the great names. And a beautiful shot. Denzel Iramia. Great name, great player, and a great young man too.
Yeah, he's very he had a lovely personality with our short chat that we had. Looking forward to going back to New Zealand next week. He's got his parents coming to watch him play, and I think life is good, isn't it? Out of college, enjoyed that, very good, solid college career, and off to a good start in his debut as a professional.
Just touching on what I was saying before about these players, when you're playing week to week, they've come from the Vic Open in Linksy, on a Linksy golf course in Linksy conditions, over to Perth where it's very hot on a very elevated golf course there at Lake Karrinyup. Here in the 700 metres essentially in the mountains, and then next week Queenstown. It's going to be very cool every day where the ball won't travel as far, so it's something that you have to adjust to week to week.
That was Josh Younger from the back edge of the green.
I believe that's the 14th hole. Playing alongside Andrew Martin and Harrison Endicott. Andrew Martin did well last week over in Perth in the SBS Underworld Super Sixes. Harrison Endicott, based out of Phoenix, Arizona these days, where his girlfriend lives. He's been playing the PGA Tour Latino America, where he had 3 top 5s last year. The young man from Avondale.
I was lucky that she lives in a good golfing area of the world. You wouldn't want to, you know, someone from up the top of the United States and be winter if that was where you're going to base yourself, because your girlfriend lived there, Ewan.
Always baffled me. I think it was back in 2001. You may remember James Mclane. James Mclane won the NCAA championship individual title, but the University of Minnesota won an NCAA championship with 3 Aussies on that team who were all from Queensland, which is a hot climate.
Or went to a snow climate.
They can't play golf 6 months of the year there. They practice in a dome.
They went education as well.
That's exactly why they went there. Downhill right to left putt for Andrew Martin from Victoria. 2-time runner-up on the PGA Tour of Australasia, yet to claim that first title. Can he start making a run? Hoist that first trophy. Oh, a lip out on the high side. A little bit too much speed. Very tricky greens here, Todd. A lot of subtle breaks, get above the hole. It's very, very difficult to get the speed right. And this no bargain either. 3 feet, back uphill, slightly left to right. Josh Younger, he's 3 runner-ups on our tour, including 1 here last year.
So Urmia for birdie at the 12th.
Another one of these downhill putts, Todd. Certainly get used to them here at the City Golf Club.
Good roll. I think he hit that exactly where he aimed it, just didn't turn. He's looking for it to break a little more to his left.
Just showed Josh Younger before Indonesian Masters a couple of months ago in the 3rd round. Played alongside Justin Rose and Henrik Stenson. What a thrill that would have been. Nicely done for Harrison Endicott. Very confident young man. Max Mcardle. 12th hole, birdie putt. This to get to double digits, -10. I was really impressed last year when I walked around with Max in that final group on the 3rd day of the Australian Open. He was 3 over par after 2 holes, playing alongside Matt Kuchar. Tough conditions, big crowd, cameras everywhere, international audience, and the way he fought back to take the lead again through 9 holes was quite incredible. He really hung in there well. He works hard on his mental game with Jamie Glazier, and the two of them have done a great job. Let's see Mark Asani putting up the hill here, and that's really what you want to do. You've got to be very cognizant in your practice rounds of you know, essentially looking where the hole locations are going to be throughout the tournament and figuring out where's my best opportunity to make the putt from. Here, obviously, below the hole at number 12, but you want as many uphill putts as you can get, because really you're defensive when you're putting downhill, and he was up and out of that one very quickly, Mark Asani. But when you're putting down the hill here, it's very hard to make a committed stroke time and time again, because you're just trying to get the speed right, really, as opposed to thinking about holing it.
So the 15th hole, the par 3, playing 141 metres downhill today. This is Michael Sim.
Ended an 8-year title drought when he won the 2017 Queensland Open. He's had a couple of runner-ups on the PGA Tour. Mentioned he got to 36 in the world, so he's trying to recapture that form.
Andrew Martin, just you can see the breeze just starting to pick up a little bit here this afternoon. Earlier, as the final group went out, the pins were just about listless. And as we've progressed through the last hour or so, it started to pick up, and then the difficulty, as we explained here, this is downhill. It's got the elevation change, and just picking the right club can be difficult.
Well, it's a very accessible hole location on the left, because most of these right-handed golfers like to draw the ball a little bit, but you don't want to overdo it, because where we saw Michael Uzi down on the left-hand side is essentially dead. So look for a lot of balls to be out to the right, safely away from the flag.
Well, isn't it interesting when you look at body language? He hadn't committed at all as he was standing in there, had he? There was no routine to grabbing what club he was going to use. He didn't put his club back in the bag. He threw one down, and for me, you know, if he had the opportunity to come back and watch himself there, you go, I didn't give myself the chance to hit a good shot then.
And you just made a good point. It's very, I think it's a great idea for a lot of these players to watch themselves, to learn what their tendencies are under pressure. We spoke to Matt Steiger this morning. He learned that his pre-shot routine was 1 or 2 seconds quicker when he got under the pump at the Vic Open. Harrison Endicott taking a more aggressive line, just a little right of the flag, but he too coming up well short.
You can see that flag, actually the wind blowing directly into them, which they wouldn't have been feeling off that tee. Slightly more protected up in that tee box.
Ken Younger learned from those first 2 shots. You've got to think that that's certainly going to influence the type of shot that he hits here. Perhaps try and keep the ball a little bit lower and under that breeze. He likes to saw off a lot of his iron shots. By that I mean he doesn't complete his follow through with a lot of his iron shots. Just 3/4 finish, keep the ball down a little bit. Let's see if he does that here. Quite a full follow through, but he too has come out of it. That's well right of the flag, and quite honestly a poor shot, but you can understand why they are coming up short and out to the right, because long and left is just no good. As caddy's saying to him there, what did you do that for? I would have hit it to 6 feet. That's great to see. Good on Josh for getting the local youngsters involved and on the bag.
That was his caddy's mate who's grilling him, not just the caddy.
It's like the backseat driver, isn't it?
It is. As we mentioned before, join the conversation out here at PGA of Australia on Twitter. Throw us a couple of questions. We'll check in there right now and see whether there's anything that you want to know about this event or anything at all in the world of golf. Ewan's got the answers for you.
Ah.
I have faith in you, Ewan.
Well, just having a click onto Twitter now. Wherever you're watching from around the world, it's currently just after 10 p.m. on the East Coast in the United States. It's about 11 a.m. in most Asian countries, so great opportunity for everyone to join the conversation and get involved, watching plenty of top players here compete for the title of the Queensland PGA Championship. Mentioned at the start of the broadcast, Greg Norman, Ian Baker Finch, Peter Senior, all with their names on this trophy. David Graham, Stephen Bowditch, Cameron Percy in recent years. Some of the best players in the world. Very prestigious tournament. And it could be the catalyst for many of these players to really get their career going as well. Get the exemption on our tour. Not to mention the first prize check of over $20,000 would certainly help their bank balance and fund their way playing around the world.
So from that front edge again, looks like putter in hand, and that seems to be the club of choice. So the majority of players obviously feel within a metre of the green they're getting a good, smooth, consistent roll off the edges that will not jump and bump onto the putting surface, so that they can get the correct weight.
And it's very unusual actually for players to be doing this off kikuyu grass. You see it on couch grass down in the sandbelt, but on this type of grass,
it's it.
Ooh. Interesting that he's going to leave the ball there. There's been a lot of conjecture about that in recent times in the world of professional golf, but that ball not really in Josh Younger's way at all. Oh! Only the flagstick is.
Well, that is a bonus, isn't it?
And he turns around to his caddy and he says, why would you hit it to 6 or 10 feet when you can just do that?
Yeah, that youngster that was giving him grief off the tee says, that is my perfect distance.
The consummate professional, he knows exactly where to put it. That was plan B for Josh Younger, but it worked.
Yep, sorry.
Have a look at that one, Todd.
Yeah, so he's taken a chipping wedge and has it perfectly in the bottom of the cup. Well, I guess one of the things is he missed it on the right side, didn't he? He gave himself plenty of green to work with. He got a good line, and had he missed it left, that certainly wouldn't have been the outcome. So Harrison Endicott would have had a good look and read of what Andrew Martin's putt did.
Well, not too bad from where he was.
They just kept going. I don't know how they did not run out more.
One thing you'll notice from Harrison Endicott's conversation there with Andrew Martin, it's never the player's fault, Todd. Never.
No. For any of us. At any level. So this is the one coming back now for Andrew Martin for par.
Good putt. Good putt. It's been a tough day for Andrew Martin, +1 on the round. And a lot of players certainly well into red figures. Harrison Endicott, on the other hand, 5 under for the round. Now, Harrison Endicott, a 7 under par 63 on day one. 1 over in the breezy conditions yesterday afternoon, but 5 under today, and a good opportunity these last 3 holes to pick up a couple more and perhaps match that 63 shot on Thursday. Got to get this one in first. Beautiful roll. Spoke to, see, sponsored by Ping there. I spoke to Paul Rosa, the head of Ping in Australia, a few days ago, and he was singing Harrison Endicott's praises, saying not only what a good golfer he was, but what a fine young man. I'm sure Nathan Green would like me calling him a fine young man, which he is. He's certainly a fine man and a fine golfer, playing from well right of the fairway on number 12, and what a shot that is. Can Dean Lawson, his playing partner, match it? Love the way Dean swings the club. Upright backswing, reroutes it, slots it in a good position on the downswing. James Nitties kind of goes the other way.
Man, this ball well below his feet, isn't it?
Yeah. The ball is below your feet. The ball will want to squeeze to the right, and he likes to fade it. Watch this spin to the right now. Beautiful shot from James Nitties.
Two very different swings that we saw there, wasn't it? Lovely languid hands through the ball of Dean Lawson's swing. You can just see when the club slides in and under, he has wonderful feel to it. And still sporting the moustache is James Nitties. Trying hard to get that fashion to stay. It's become his own trademark a little over the last couple of years.
Well, I know when he was playing the Web.com tour in the United States, they used to have a mustache championship every year, and he won it twice. And the mustache that he was growing was absolutely incredible. It was clean shaven on one side of the face, and what he had going on the other side, I don't even know where to begin. Had about 18 different shapes. It was impressive.
So 3 chances at birdie.
That was the 14th hole. That was Ben Ferguson second. That's Peter Wilson and Andrew Evans there in your picture. Back to 12, and Dean Lawson this to get to 13 under and within 2.
This is where he's been pretty good with his putting at holding this type of length. Oh, cuts across the face of the hole.
Dean was a runner-up New Zealand PGA Championship a couple of years ago.
So this is David Michael Uzi on the 18th. His approach shot perfect drive out of the centre there, and it's been a good round of golf today. That'll come off the slope, and another good chance at birdie.
Absolutely. Very reminiscent of, geez, Robert Allenby, David Duval, Dustin Johnson, the way he lifts his head kind of before impact, David Michael Uzi. I like that motion.
Nathan Green.
See that claw/saw grip he uses. Very effective there for a birdie to get to red figures for the day. -9 for the tournament. -9 currently inside the top 10. Nitties for a birdie after that beautiful second shot. This putt should be breaking a little bit right to left. You would have got a good look at Ian Lawson's putt.
Oh, bounced. It found the centre of the hole and bottom of the cup, but off the putter there, it took a nasty little hop. Could have done anything. Michael Uzi there just a moment ago with his approach shot. He's got that putt to shoot 6 under for the day, and 5 under currently, taking him at 10 under par and tied for 7th.
Look at Felton and John. 8 under par for the round. Pars at 18 for both of them to shoot 62 today. Match the round that Ryan Lynch shot on Thursday. Incredible golf, and they've certainly put themselves in contention. Cameron John, a runner-up at the age of 19 at the New South Wales Open in November.
Well, that's how things stand. Let's take a break. We'll be back. More from the Queensland PGA.
Hi, I'm Peter Lunnard from Sydney, Australia, and I hope you are enjoying watching PGA TV.
Six starts, 6 wins. The favourite storming home. Unbeatable. Apparently not. Ladbrokes, back yourself.
Gamble responsibly.
Stay and play at the City Golf Club Motel in the heart of the beautiful garden city of Toowoomba. Enjoy a relaxing golf holiday in one of our spacious and well-appointed 4.5-star motel rooms, and enjoy a round of golf on our 18-hole championship course. Then relax with friends over a meal and drinks at our stunning clubhouse, catering from individuals to large groups. Our stay and play packages are fully customised to suit your needs. Packages are available now, so book your golf getaway today at the City Golf Club Motel.
I'm a big left to right golfer. I chase the ball more than Tyler. He's more down the fairway than I am, and I enjoy the red dirt where Tyler enjoys the green grass. It's a beautiful course, and it's accessible to everybody because it's a public course, and especially Kalgoorlie, the kids can play for free, and they just love the game, so why not come out and play?
Sweet, sweet love, apple of my eye, my love, my darling, never make you cry.
What? 1.99% per annum comparison rate on selected Tiguan and Tiguan All-Space models.
Volkswagen.
It's a beautiful afternoon for golf at the City Golf Club in Toowoomba, and tell you what, there's some hot scoring out on course. Some players have really come up the leaderboard. WA's Jared Felton has scorched with a current 8 under, hasn't signed his scorecard as of yet, so still opportunity potentially for a birdie on the 18th, as is the same with Cameron John, is sitting at 8 under for the day. Both of those players tied at 13 under par, tied third, 2 shots behind our leaders Daniel Nisbet and Lincoln Ty.
Course record here at 9 under par 61, so a birdie at 18 for either John or Felton would tie that course record. I'll have to excuse my, I was incorrect there. They're playing preferred lies today, so it wouldn't count. So I can just tell everyone the
score still counts.
Officially the course record. Can't have preferred lies. Good angle at number 12 for Daniel Nisbet.
That's a good view there where you can see the undulation of that fairway from it It's as you play it from left to right, and where you get the variation of where the ball sits in your stance, the ball below your feet.
Another good point, Todd, because here's Daniel Pearce's second, and it's evident here how far that ball is below his feet. But there's a lot of holes here at City Golf Club where the fairway will slope from left to right or right to left. Actually, quite often it is left to right. And that just, especially when the fairway is firm, that means that anyone who shapes the ball left to right, it's very difficult to keep the ball on the fairway, because when it's dry, it'll just run into trouble. So you've actually got to try and shape it the other way against the slope.
There's an indicator there where the ball's slid off from the drive. It gets into the drier parts of the edges of the fairway.
Well, look at this hole here at 12. 384 metres and Lincoln tie. Wow. Beautiful shot. See how close he drove the ball to the green. No more than 40 or 50 metres on a 384 metre hole. But great comeback from Lincoln tie. Bogeys at 8 and 9. Birdied 10. Should be a tap-in birdie there at 12 to get him back to 16 under. And well done. Very impressive. You see how happy he is with that one. And so he should be.
Okay, so this for a terrific round from David Michael Uzi, the Victorian. 5 under today, this to go 6 under. Oh, he gave it a good chance too, didn't he, on the high side. So he'll tap that one in. Shoot a round of 65, 67 on round 1, 68 on round 2, and another solid day going the right direction on round 3. Keeps him well inside the top 10 going into the final day tomorrow.
It was a good opportunity for a rare birdie on 18, because it's been the most difficult hole the first 2 days.
I had a good chat to him yesterday afternoon, talking about where he goes from here and what his plans were, and he has a bit of a light schedule over the next month or so, then heads to the UK and will play the British Amateur and St Andrews Links, and then the US Amateur, and then towards the end of the year look to decide what he can do to try and find a card to play in various parts of the world. But you know, from an observer's opinion on the outside of the game, you know, he's ready to go. He's had a very, as I said earlier, illustrious amateur career, and you know, he's done all the work, and time to go and see whether he can make some money out of it.
Daniel Pearce, uphill left to right putt on 12. This to get it back to -9. And to your point, Todd, I think these amateurs, they get the opportunity to play so many professional events before they actually do turn professional now, that they know what's required and they know where their game stands against some of the best players in the world. So it's not such a foreign environment when they do officially turn professional. But he'll be next. And we saw this, well, we've seen this putt a couple of times here on 12, and it breaks from right to left. Ian Lawson had a similar putt. It's probably a couple balls outside the hole on the right at least, maybe even a foot outside right. Nice.
What a solid stroke. You could hear it come out of the centre of the putter, couldn't you? Had that lovely pop sound. So a lot of red on that card today from Nisbet, and he puts himself in the lead momentarily, because his playing partner has this tap in for birdie as well, Lincoln tie.
This is great scoring. I mean, we're only really halfway through the 3rd round. We've got 2 players at 16 under par, and we've got 8 players in double figures. Let's go to 18, Todd.
So from one amateur who's had a really good day to a young professional, only 19, nearly 20 years of age, Cameron John. This is his 2nd shot out of the fairway bunker to the 18th.
Oh, that is a tough shot. Over water, out of a fairway bunker, over the lip. Oh.
Is that hazard? Might have spoiled a good round, but we can't tell where that's finished. But there is water. You can see the fountain there.
I'm trying to watch his reaction now. If that was me, you would know exactly where that was, especially if it was in the water. It's these young players tend to keep their emotions a lot more in check, but hoping by his reaction that it's nothing too bad.
That's the view of the surrounding suburbs here of the City Golf Club, and it is the city. We're only around about 5 to 7 minute drive from the CBD. Lovely restaurants and Main Street down there. We ventured down there last night ourselves.
Jared Felton. This is approach into 18.
So with wedge in hand, this is a good opportunity. That comes back off there. This could be tap in, or if not in.
Oh, Jared Felton.
Wow.
Beautiful shot. That for a round of 9 under par, 61. More importantly, would vault him to within 2 shots of the lead. Started the day 8 strokes behind. And see Cameron John there. I'm assuming he's okay, Todd, the way he's walked up to the green, because if he was in the water, he'd be dropping at the other side.
So that could be bunker there. It looks like he's looking for a landing spot to see where he can get this to.
And early in the broadcast, we spoke about Nathan Green and James Nitty's struggling playing together. It's gone the other way in this group. Felton to shoot 61 and Cameron John up and down for 62. They've fed off each other in a positive fashion today. Incredible golf.
Well, that's the first look at the 17th green. You can see back down the bottom of the hill there, par 5. Good opportunity for birdie on the latter stage of your round there if you can get your tee shot away. So it looks like he is in the bunker there, Ewan. Beautiful bunkers here. We had a look at deep red sand, well maintained. Should be able to get plenty of control and spin out of this one.
Oh, just a beautiful technique. You can see how much speed he created through the ball there. Most amateurs, when you're watching them hit a bunker shot, they'll really decelerate because they're scared, but you've really got to just accelerate and thump that sand. Classic example there. Don't see too many players with the top button done up either. So a chance for a round of 62 for Cameron John. He had 3 top 10s on our tour last year as a 19-year-old, including that runner-up at the New South Wales Open, and he could potentially improve on that and hoist his first trophy tomorrow.
Well, you talk about bunker shots because he comes from Melbourne, played a lot of golf out of the Waverley Golf Club, also a member of the Commonwealth Golf Club. So when you play the Sandbelt, you get used to being a good bunker player.
This is young Queenslander Chris Park, 18. Even par on his round. Believe this is for a par.
He's been lapped today, hasn't he? Quite literally on the scoreboard. So Denzel Eremia on the 14th from just off the edge.
Ooh. Gave it a good chance, but a little bit of chicken on the bone there. That could be the fire engine in the background coming to see Jared Felton or Cameron John, because they have been on fire today. Cameron John now downhill, tricky little 3.5, 4 footer. This for a round of 62.
You want this to go in, don't you? Just to finish the day off with a great feeling after you've played so well.
Very deliberate in getting himself set. Very light grip pressure. Beautifully done.
What a great up and down, bunker to bunker for par for Cameron John. Started the day in 18th position at 5 under par, and will find himself entrenched in the top 5 by the end of the day. Super score, 62.
So he's got another professional on the bag there who played this week, young Brad Doherty, only 19 years old, from the Oaklands Golf Club in Sydney. Now, Jared Felton, 61 for Jared Felton.
Come on, you can give us a bigger smile than that, Jared.
That's an incredible round of golf.
Well, we're going to see whether we can chase him down and get him in here and chat to him about his performance there today. That will take Jared into outright third position. Cameron John will sit in fourth. As I mentioned, Cameron starting at 5 under today, so did Jared Felton. So both from 18th to tied third and fourth. That's what you need to do on moving day. So this is the 17th green. You'll see a lot of players come up just short with their second shot. There is a bunker on the left there that will take a lot of balls as well. The difficulty of the second shot here is it's played a long way uphill, and we've talked about the different slopes that you have to deal with in your stance. This one, it varies. If you get over the left side of the fairway, you've got the ball slightly above your feet, so you tend to draw the ball. That's why that bunker gets plenty of action. And I haven't got word yet. I'm going to take a gamble here and say that this is an eagle putt for Michael Sim.
Yep.
Good roll. Well, beautiful putt. So potentially, we'll confirm it when we can. That could have been for eagle, and that will make the round feel a little better for Michael Sim. The other issue that comes with the tee shot on the 17th, block it just a little bit right, and it's tree trouble, and it's a chip out. It becomes a 3-shot hole very quickly.
Young Victorian amateur Matt Dowling. A really good round going today. 9 under par total, 3 under for the round. He's inside the top 10. This is for a birdie to get to 10 under par. This to move into a share of 7th. Seeing more and more amateurs up the top of the leaderboards in professional events. Quite a few amateurs have won, in fact, over the last few years. On our tour here, Ben Eccles, the 2015 New South Wales Open. Zach Murray just last year, winning the WA Open. I'll never forget watching Aaron Baddeley win the 1999 Australian Open at Royal Sydney as an 18-year-old, and the following week, young Western Australian Brett Rumford, who was an amateur, won the ANZ Players Championship at Royal Queensland. So that was a rare occurrence back then for that to happen, but we're seeing it more and more. In fact, 2006 Rick Kulaks, who's playing this weekend, was staying at my house when he won the New South Wales Open as an amateur. So these players are ready to go. They're showing their games are right for the picking. Tough day for Peter Cook. Chance to get one back here on 17. No.
It bobbled just a little, didn't it? Kept it on that left side. And you know, I just wonder sometimes if you are having a rough day and you're not striking the ball off the centre of the putter as well, those things tend to happen, don't they? So this is Darren Beck, his second shot out of the rough on the 18th.
Couple over for today for Darren. Won this tournament back in 2008. Was in contention last year here. Good shot. And for a round of 71.
Well, you can see, you know, the way that ball reacted, why some of the players are able to shoot good scores if they're dialed in with their wedge play, like Jared Felton obviously was today. This is, talk about old-fashioned. This is Ryan Lynch. You see his bag over there? He's got the little pencil carry bag out with him today, and it's worked effectively on day one. Shot 62 to be the round one leader. Just hasn't been able to get it going. 3 over yesterday. Just cooled off for him. That, missing that one left up on the top plateau, so not really a birdie opportunity there. It's a lag putt required.
Ryan, the son of renowned Victorian coach Dale Lynch, who's coached many of our top professionals. I remember playing the Web.com tour years ago in the US, and Ryan actually came over and caddied for Nick Flanagan for a little bit, so he certainly would have learned a lot about professional golf doing that.
So there is the lie of the land that I spoke about that you have on the 17th green. Take a look at the leaderboard, and there's been some movement today, some great scores. But at the top, it's Daniel Nisbet and Lincoln Ty, both playing well at 16 under par. But what about the rounds of the day? Jared Felton, 9 under par, 61, and Cameron John is playing partner on day 3 with an 8 under par. Terrific scoring from both of them. Take a look at the second page, and then you look at 8 under par and you think, oh well, you know, that's a pretty good score, but you find yourself a fair way from the top of the leaderboard.
Well, 8 under par started the day inside the top 5, and you can see there now it's a tie for 12th, and I would think by the end of the day it's probably going to be somewhere around 15th or 16th, so certainly got to be looking to shoot 2-3 under par or better if you want to maintain your position and stay in contention.
Well, we saw there David Uzi, what we thought had a birdie putt. In fact, that putt was for bogey and ended up double bogeying the final hole. So disappointment for him. But we're in Toowoomba this week, and they are looking after us beautifully. As we see the players approaching the 17th green, big hill to have to climb. You'll finish this hole and the players will move to the right of screen, where they'll head to the 18th tee, which is a big downhill tee shot, which is, it looks inviting, but it's easy to lose the radar on that one and block and pull into trees, and that's obviously what David Uzi did and had to chip out and get back into position.
This is that 18th hole. This is the green looking back up. Ryan Lynch for a birdie. Even par on the round. To get it to 6 under total. Good try, but yeah, you're right, Todd. It's fraught with danger, this 18th hole. It's where Tim Hart hit it out of bounds and made a triple a few years ago on his way to shooting 61. Eventually lost a playoff. Stephen Jeffress last year needed a par to force a playoff, drove it in the trees, made a bogey. David Uzi obviously made a double bogey after spraying his tee shot.
I'm thinking as a hacker, you know, maybe just top it off the tee and run it straight down the fairway.
Use the putter maybe.
Because it'll run straight down the hill. It's a big slope. And Ryan Lynch finishing off his round for an even par round of 70. Just could not get much going there on that back 9.
Currently in a tie for 23rd, -5. This is Daniel Gale. Both Daniel and Darren Beck from the Castle Hill Country Club in Sydney. Daniel turned professional 12 months ago, already a couple of wins, both in Papua New Guinea actually.
Putts with the glove on?
Yeah, you don't see that too often.
And why not when you make putts like that? It's reminiscent of Jack Nicklaus. It'll only take a young player to come along and start putting well with the putter on, and you'll see it become the trend again.
John Daly did it in 1991, winning the PGA. Vijay Singh used to putt with a glove on. How strong Nathan Green's left-hand grip is.
And a lovely little deft lob shot to give himself an opportunity there to save that.
Darren Beck on 18 for a birdie in a round of 71.
We've seen this one stay on that high side on the left, if he can read it right. He does.
Beautifully done. '69, excuse me. Look at that finish. Eagle birdie. That was for a 71. Darren Beck, former winner of the Brunei Open. Fantastic fella, Darren Beck. Played a lot of my amateur golf with him.
I'm just getting a bit of clarification. We talked about Jared Felton's round, but get to that after we see James Nitty's here. putter from the fringe.
I've been a little surprised the amount of players taking putter from around the greens, especially off Kikuyu grass. Good idea getting the ball on the ground as quickly as possible, but I'm surprised we haven't seen more wedges and 9-irons being utilised.
So I'm just getting some feedback here that, in fact, Jared Felton looks like he shot 62, because on the scorecard today it's given us that he's birdied the third hole, which in fact he hasn't. So, but we'll get more clarification from that in the next few minutes or so. That would put him and Cameron John tied at third.
Well, there's a large gallery behind the 17th green, perhaps just someone in the crowd there distracting Andrew. But this is a downhill left to right putt, really the opposite putt to what we saw from Michael Sim. Be very defensive with this one, very easy to miss this one to the right. He certainly hasn't done that. In fact, he's overread it. Pretty good for speed, though. A lot of his golf in Asia last year, Andrew Martin. Nitties, par putt, 14. Ain't even for the day. Nicely done.
Just hanging on, isn't it, though? Unable to get it firing. And this is Harrison Endicott. Just needs to keep its pace and left it short in the jaws. You don't like those when you've got a birdie opportunity uphill.
Missed opportunity there on 17. All these players long enough to reach that green in 2. Nathan Green, par putt, back at 14. Nicely done, good up and down.
A couple of good strokes the last couple of holes from Nathan Green. Good positive strokes through impact.
Absolutely, a lot of acceleration through the ball. Dean Lawson, when he putts, very high hands, you know, almost reminiscent of Steve Stricker, that putter, almost vertical.
A similar result there. And if anyone told you that you putted like Steve Stricker, gee, you'd take that as a high compliment, wouldn't you?
There's a reason he's been sought out from Tiger Woods over the years to help him with his putting. Dean Lawson now minus 13. He's 4 behind Daniel Nisbet, who has moved it to 17 under. This is Michael Sim. Good angle from the left, just in the left rough on 18. Coming off that eagle on 17.
2 eagles on his back 9 today for Michael Sim. Eagle on 10 and 17. That's helped the scorecard. Got him to 4 under for the day.
You push the buggy or pull the buggy, Todd?
I push.
Yeah, better for your posture as well.
Yes, but he's got a motorised one, so I'm not sure how much pushing he's actually doing, Michael Sim, which we may talk to him later on. Give him a bit of grief as a young man that needs a motor. I wonder whether he's managed to get that off one of the members here this week that would have volunteered that for him. Now, he's definitely not pushing. That thing's moving on its own. All right, well, it's been some terrific play here this afternoon from the Coca-Cola Queensland PGA. We're going to take a break and we'll be back with more live golf in just a moment.
Hi there, I'm Steve Jeffrey from Southport Golf Club on the Gold Coast. You're watching PGA TV.
It's just such an easy and beautiful lifestyle that Toomba's offered. You can't replace that. You see so many people leave Toowoomba and come back because of that climate, that green change.
biggest thing that surprised me, even though it was a big city, it was still like a big country town. You know, it's got a university, it's got hospitals and all the schools, but it's still like a small country town. This city has grown so much in the 12 years we've been here, but even now, I'll go downtown and there's always someone to say hello to.
Some of the beautiful wildlife here at the City Golf Club in Toowoomba. You're watching the Coca-Cola Queensland PGA Championships. And some beautiful scenery of the golf course as we get to live play here with Michael Sim and a putt for birdie on the 18th.
Well, we saw Darren Beck finish eagle birdie. Michael Sim almost able to do the same, so that'll be a round of 66. And he was now based on the Gold Coast. 2 eagles in his round, as Todd mentioned. 10th and 17th hole. And 9 under par, currently in a tie for 10th. And this is playing partner Matt Dowling. That was, what I believe, a birdie putt. So Matt Dowling at 10 under par. Great performance, young Victorian amateur. Again, just the experience these young players will be gaining is invaluable. Mentioned at the start of the broadcast here, 7 European Tour winners, 4 PGA Tour winners, 9 Asian Tour winners, and 4 Japanese Tour winners started this week competing. Here's one of those winners, Daniel Nisbet. So he wins this week. Going into Queenstown next week, he's defending champion in 2 different capacities. He's defending champion from New Zealand Open last year, and then he's defending, having won the week before. So, got to think the way he's playing, he's pretty much the man to beat.
There's one thing I would say about that is that you never defend if you're in a good mindset. You go out to win again. And you'll find that the very best players that learn to win a lot, that's the difference between them, is that they don't worry about what they've done before. They keep looking at what they're going to do next. And you know, if, as a young player, if you can take that attitude, it helps you immensely to not worry about the pressures of those types of things with ranking and money and so on.
What was it, 83 times you did that? Is that right? 80,
Yeah.
82 or 83? So I'm going to take your word for it.
Well, you know, but it's not at every place that you feel like that.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough at a place like Wimbledon to feel that I just went on to win.
Which was the place you won the most?
There.
At Wimbledon?
So, you know, there are other tournaments where you know, somehow you have a good week, but you know it doesn't really suit your eye, or the surface isn't exactly what you like, but you've done well, that you're in a good frame of mind, you're fit, you're healthy, and that can happen out here on the golf course as well. And that must have been a dreadful lie there.
That was a tough shot. I mean, that was, geez, from such a short distance to be 30 feet right of the hole. I believe that was Lincoln Tyre's tee shot as well. No, I'm starting to talk tennis now, but it's interesting that Roger Federer hadn't played the French Open on clay the last few years, but he said he's going to play this year. And you quite often, Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson, they say they don't like playing Riviera, but they both played this year. And I think, look, the top players, there is definitely a horses for courses. I think there is definitely some truth to that, but the best players adapt. And we saw that back in the day with Gary Player winning all over the world, Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, the best players, Greg Norman as well, can adapt to all different climates, courses, conditions, surfaces.
That was a brilliant shot from Andrew Martin. A little unlucky not to take some spin to bring that back towards the hole.
Daniel Pearce, 14. Third shot. A little heavy-handed.
Just came out hot, didn't it? Good top spin on it.
Josh Younger at 18, Todd. Coming off 3 straight birdies, 15, 16, 17.
Oh, that does get the spin, but it pulls it back to the top plateau. It doesn't quite catch that ridge and fall back down towards that right-hand pin. That would have been perfect for birdie where yesterday's pin was. You can just see it with the movement in the trees that the wind becoming a bit of a factor this afternoon. It was definitely a factor yesterday. It was very strong winds, and given the cyclone floating around off the coast of Queensland, we weren't quite sure how this weekend was going to play out as Nisbet catches that one heavy. So there was a point that we've talked about using the putter off the fringe where that one did grab. We haven't seen a lot of them, but that's where you spoke about. You thought a lot of players would be chipping it to get to the surface first.
Well, it depends on what type of lie that you do have. If you've got a bad lie, obviously it's easier to take the putter or something that's going to get on the ground quickly. But Kikuyu grass, the ball can really grab, so I would prefer to chip it and get the ball in the air on the putting surface quicker to take that out of play. As Harrison Endicott hits a beautiful approach into 18. That's not an easy hole location there on the front right. Lincoln Ty at 14, birdie putt up the hill to tie the lead. And a little aggressive. See, Lincoln Ty, he's still 3 under par for the round today. He's playing some really solid golf, but just a little dejected with his body language at times. Made those soft bogeys at 8 and 9. But just a remarkable effort. Go out there and play your first tournament in a year to be 16 under par. Incredible stuff.
I mentioned Jared Felton and his score. Jared's going to come in and chat to us in just a little while. They're just working out some scoring errors between his card, and they're not errors in a sense of they haven't signed it incorrectly or anything like that. There was just some computer errors and making sure we get the scores right, and we'll confirm all of those when he gets in. He's just also, as we see that one come up short, working through a ruling with Cameron John on an earlier hole with the officials before he signs his card as well. So there could be a little bit of movement on the scoreboard between those two.
This is Andrew Evans on 17, and that was a tough bunker shot.
Well, it's the first time we've had a real good look at the colour of the bunkers here at Toowoomba. They're so unique, so beautiful.
Reminds me of Adelaide. You see that a lot at Royal Adelaide in Kooyonga, the colour of the sand, but they are in perfect condition, and it's hard to get a bad lie in them. Nisbet, par putt, 14. Stays in the lead at -17, one ahead of the man in your picture there, Lincoln Ty. It's been interesting watching his change in physique over the years. Lincoln Ty was somewhat of a pudgy junior, a little chubby, but There's nothing pudgy about that physique now. He could be playing in the second row or a linebacker in the NFL pretty easily.
So Peter Wilson actually going with a wedge, getting it on the surface and trying to run it out.
I also think it's the sign of someone who's very confident, very positive in their chipping ability and skills when they do that from just off the green. I remember when I first started playing golf, Raymond Floyd was renowned for it. If he wasn't on the putting surface, he'd be chipping.
Well, I'll tell you what, he wasn't quite sure what he was going to do because he's taking 5 clubs over to it. So this is Josh Younger for birdie. It's a real field putt, this one, isn't it? It's get it to the top of the ridge and let it feed down. Hope that you've got the right line and you might get lucky. Nice tidy little putt, and love that to tap in. That would give him a round of 3 under 67, leave him at 9 under, tied 9th.
Runner-up at the 2014 Australian Masters, Josh Younger. Andrew Evans, uphill birdie putt here at 17. Let's see how good I am with my reads, Todd. I'm going to say this is right, centre and firm. Lack any pace, it's going to miss left.
Presuming he's putting a good stroke on it as well. And he does.
Oh, beautifully done. He's mentioned before, just no real weaknesses in his game. Andrew Evans, very, very consistent.
So that one for birdie, that'll take him up to a tie for 5th.
Nisbet on the 15th, par 3. Now we've seen most players come up short and bail out to the right on this par 3. Leading the tournament by 1 stroke. Will he be aggressive? Well,
so he started out right, trying to turn it back in.
Oh my, he was aggressive. And I tell you what, if that was 2 feet shorter, that was back down the hill. Tie. Just a wedge. Certainly a very unique follow through. Just left that one out to the right. Ooh. That is going to be a tricky chip. I'll tell you what, if he hits that one too hard, he's going to be off the other side down the hill.
So Daniel Pearce, the last of this threesome to play, been a tougher day for him.
A couple over par on his round. It's a nice action. He creates a lot of lag in his swing. He likes it. Oh, best shot we've seen here today on 15 from Daniel Pearce. Hopefully he can put together a few birdies at the end. You can see how they're walking down the hill there. Quite an elevation change from tee to green.
And another coming on the 16th tee shot as well, a high elevation with that tee, and interesting little hole yesterday. The players were trying to drive the green.
Lincoln drove it to about 20 feet there yesterday, 367 metres. Probably hit 3 wood too. Martin, 18, birdie putt. Even on his round. This through 1 under par 69.
Oh,
yes.
Nice way to finish for Andrew Martin.
Good finish, birdie, birdie.
You put back 9, 4 under par. 7 under par currently, tie for 20th.
Every dollar counts on the order of merit at the end of the year.
So Peter Wilson leaving the pin in on a short one. And he's got to collect all 5 clubs that he went over there to chip with. Maybe they weren't all his, I'm not sure, but he had a lot. He's doing a share of caddying. So Harrison Endicott hit a very good wedge shot to here.
Well, I can tell you he shot 63, 71, 64 for Harrison Endicott. Great playing. Reached the top 20 in the World Amateur Golf ranking, so what expected of him?
That's an interesting, comment you make too, because a lot expect of him, and a lot of times it's dependent upon the young players on what pressure they put on themselves too, and how they look at it and how they handle that. And he's got an attitude. He said he's a confident young man, but he is confident and he trusts his ability. He gets out there and he doesn't hold back, and it gives you the opportunity to go out and shoot scores like he has done today. So let's take a look at how things sit as we head towards the end of round 3. Daniel Nisbet with a 1-shot lead over a Lincoln tie. 6 under today, Nisbet. What a good round of golf. Still some clarification to come between Cameron John and Jared Felton, and we'll find out about their rounds in just a moment. Jared Felton will join us, but still both of them playing some scintillating golf. Harrison Endicott, as we saw him finish there, tie for 5th. And
Nicky James in the screen there from the PGA of Queensland, rules official. Not sure exactly what Lincoln was asking her.
I was going to ask someone else to come.
Well, maybe it could be, and you can give some clarification on this one for me, because when you have an ability to replace the ball in the middle of the fairway, do you have the ability to replace the ball around the edge of the green?
You do.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
There you go. They're just trying to find out if he's on the fairway or not.
He said it's fairway because it's fringed at fairway, then rough. Yeah.
There we go. So this is for him now. Gives him an opportunity to give himself a better lie, get club underneath the ball.
Highly advantageous in this situation because he doesn't have all that much green to work with, and the green is going away from him. Therefore, he needs to be able to create a fair bit of spin on this shot. Now, if he's got an ordinary lie, it's almost impossible to do that, and it actually means that he would have had to play a totally different shot with a totally different technique. Now that he can put this up on a bit of grass, he doesn't need to, especially it being Kikuyu, which the ball will naturally spin more anyway, he doesn't really have to make all that an aggressive emotion at this, and it looks like he's on a tiny little bit of an upslope as well, so this is a good break that he's been able to prefer his lie here. And you can see what he's practicing with his right hand. He's really trying to use the bounce of that lob wedge. To be honest, he didn't. His practice beautifully played, but actually his technique when he played the shot was very different to when he had his practice swing. But he should be able to save par there, Lincoln tie. That will keep him at -16 and only 1 stroke behind his playing partner, Daniel Nisbet. Well, Nisbet coming up short there and again putting from the fringe. So he'll have a little bit of work left to keep him in the lead at -17. Daniel Pearce has hit best shot of the day that we've seen here at 15. About 8 feet to get to -8, +1 on the round. Should move just a hair from his right to left. The only birdie we've seen here at 15 today was Josh Younger when he chipped in from long and right of the green. Winner here 2 years ago, Pearce. Nicely done. And that big crowd behind the 15th green. Very appreciative of that one. Over to 18. This is the group of Peter Wilson. Hitting his second shot from the left-hand side. Perfect angle. To that right-hand hole location. We saw Harrison Endicott hit a beautiful shot in here about 15 minutes ago on his way to making a birdie. Can Peter Wilson replicate that? Well, looks good off the club face.
Oh, get in the hole. Wow, what a shot from Peter Wilson.
Even you could hold that one, Todd.
I think so. My nerves could handle that.
Well, coming off the birdie on 17, that's going to be a nice way to finish. We've seen a few players finish birdie, even eagle birdie.
Let's take another look at it from Peter Wilson. Perfect strike, perfect flight, and he nearly dunks it just past the hole and nearly comes back in. Superb stuff. Now, that's... Oh, I was going to say, that's not a superb place to be, but he's being congratulated.
He might have just wandered over there to get a little congratulations, shake a few hands. Nisbet is to retain the lead at minus 17 on 15.
Just catches the left edge, doesn't it?
After that beautiful chip shot from long and right, Lincoln tight. Is to say one stroke behind his playing partner Nisbet. Good up and down. Taking advantage of that preferred lie.
So they'll head to the 16th green, 3 holes to play in their afternoon.
Andrew Evans. Second shot on 18 from the wrong side in the right rough. Good round going. He's at 12 under. Short-sided himself in the bunker. It's a nice looking bunker, but you don't want to be in there.
Well, we saw a great finish as you see that tap in there ready to go from Wilson. We saw a terrific finish on the 18th with a birdie from Harrison Endicott. Pleased to be able to say that he's joined us in the commentary booth. And Harrison, great day out there today. 7 birdies, 1 bogey, round of 64, and flew up the leaderboard. Well done. Oh, hang on, let me do the professional thing and turn you on. My fault, apologies.
No, today was really good. I kept the ball in play. Same game plan, hit driver everywhere, and just really kind of stayed really patient today. Greens were rolling nice. It was nice to make some putts as well.
We saw you this morning as we take a look at your scorecard there. Just a bogey, 1 blemish on the 6, but plenty of red. You were comfortable yesterday when you came off. You sort of looked like, oh well, it didn't happen today, but you looked like you were striking the ball well. You spoke confidently. The same in the morning, and then you come through on the moving day very well. So good up in the brain.
Yeah, look, it's one of those courses where you can. The difference between shooting even par and 5 under is not much in it. So I felt like I played really well yesterday. I just didn't get it going. So today I just really try to be as positive as I can, give myself as many looks as I could, and whatever happens, happens.
Harrison, give everyone watching a little bit of an idea of what you've been up to. We know you finished runner-up last year at the Victorian Open. You've been playing PGA Tour of Latino America, and you've had some good finishes, but how have all those experiences been?
Interesting experiences. I mean, playing week in, week out schedule around the world is what we really, really wanted to get good at, especially my first year as a pro. So those experiences has been enabled me to be able to go and get a plan for, like, say 5-6 weeks in a row and try and peak at certain times. So with learning all those type of things, making this year has definitely felt a lot more comfortable, the travel feels a lot better. you start to get comfortable with a lot of the guys you're playing with and practicing with. So it's been a good year, 2018. So I'm really excited for this year.
You were saying before you got a base in the US, Scottsdale, is it?
Yeah.
And you know, you talk about travel, and that's one of the hardest things for young Aussies is to be comfortable at being able to move away from home and enjoy the tour. Is that what you've been able to do?
Yeah, I just looked at it as I just had to get over there and really understand what it's like to be a golf pro. You have to. There's so many things you have to do well off the golf course to play well on the golf course, and by me getting over to the US and getting a base there and getting that schedule and learning how to practice with these guys, and that just, I felt, lifted my game up and lifted myself up even off the course. So I think that's been one of the best things for me, is getting over into the US, and I love being there.
Well, he did manage to tap that in, but
we'll have to get clarification on that. I believe that was for a birdie there on 18.
It looks like it was for a birdie, but the scorecard's saying he's tapped in for par. Maybe he did have to chip out.
Well, this is Max Mcardle on 17. This is where we saw Michael Sim hole his eagle putt from earlier, and he's just missed it on the low side. What you were saying before, Harrison, I'm a huge fan of. You were touted as one of the best amateurs, not just in Australia, but the world a couple of years ago. When you play top-level amateur golf, everything's provided for you. You're flown to the US, the UK to play all the top tournaments. You travel together. When you turn professional, it's a different story. And by you playing in South America, not many people, especially from Australia, tend to take that route. So you learn the hard yards early, and the way you've been able to come through that is very commendable, because you certainly learn whether you've got that killer instinct and the ability to be able to put up with adversity very early on doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I just had to harden up. I had to learn how to harden up around the world, like you said. I mean, you know, when you're top 50 amateur in the world, you get to be treated like a PGA Tour player, and you know, you get to the US amateur and there's a car picking you up, and you know, you got an amazing host family to, you know, a lot of press conferences and medias, and the same as the Asia Pacific amateur and that. And when you turn pro, it goes completely out the window, and when you're not playing great, it definitely impacts you a little bit, because you see, you know, the guys playing well and getting in those situations, and you think, you know, like, why am I not doing that? So it definitely just makes you realise like how hard this profession is, and how patient you have to be, and also how much trust.
Definitely. Well, I remember seeing you at that US Amateur at Riviera and Bel Air, staying in mansions, and then a year later you're playing.
Sounded tough.
You're playing in Guatemala and Ecuador and Peru and countries like that, and you're no doubt a better player for it as well. Here's Mcardle at 17. This is a tricky little putt, downhill left to right.
Nice.
No trouble for Max.
Let's get back to this tournament for a moment. You talked about the difference. It's not much between shooting 65 and shooting even par. Why?
I think just how tight it is. You know, look, there's so many holes where it is so tight that you can literally hit the fairway and bounce it into the trees and have no shot. So this week I thought, well, I'd rather be doing that and chipping something up near the green rather than hitting a 3-iron and being really conservative and then having the same result. So so far it's kind of gone to plan, but hopefully tomorrow it definitely goes well.
Well, let's talk about tomorrow. You're at 12 under par at the moment, 5 off the pace from Daniel Nisbet, who's still got, you'd think, maybe 2 birdie opportunities left, and he's at 17. What have you got to do to try to run him down, other than make a lot of birdies?
Yeah,
I mean, there's more to it than just that.
Yeah, I think, look, same plan. Going to go and get it in play, give ourselves a lot of looks. If it happens, it happens. I played with Nizzy the first 2 rounds, as well as Jared Felton, and man, they were just doing the kind of the same thing, and Nizzy yesterday played awesome. So I think for me to go in there tomorrow, I'm not going to worry what they do. I'm just going to do me, hit it exactly where I want to hit it, and just go find it and hit it again.
Just quietly, how good an up and down was that from Andrew Evans from that bunker there for par to shoot 4 under for the day?
Yeah, one of the things, I'm sure Harrison can attest to this, you don't want to do here at Toowoomba is short side yourself. It's so tricky coming down the hills on tricky greens as they are as well. A lot of these hole locations are on little spines as well, and to be able to get that up and down on 18 was quite an accomplishment.
And the bunkers too here, they're very, very crusty, so it's hard to spin the ball. So if you're short siding in a bunker, it's, you know, it's very easy to hit that easy little 5-6 foot pass, which are not easy to make on the way back. So.
Now, I've got a question for you. You know, we've talked about your base being in the US, New Zealand next week.
Yep.
Then what happens in your schedule from there?
I'm going to have a nice little 2 weeks off in Scottsdale. That's where I'm based now, and then get ready for the Latin tour. I think we're in Panama.
How's your Spanish and
no good?
Portuguese and all of that?
No good. I've got luckily I've got a guy who's been caddying for me a little bit over there. He speaks some good English, so he's been helping me around a little bit, but. I tend to hang around the Americans.
So the conversation between you and your caddy there it's what you would call broken English, broken Spanish.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's a lot of hand signals. So
I remember it was at Golf Digest last year. They did an article on. Was it Golf Digest? They did an article on the Latin American tour,
so,
and you were a part of it, weren't you?
Yeah,
that was a great read.
It's just a really interesting place. You got some golf courses. It's unbelievable, and then you got some places where you're like, the only place I'm going to leave the hotel is to go to the golf course. That's
damn
it.
good coffee too.
So
in South America.
Ecuador's awesome with coffee. I'm trying to find a way how to bring that into the US actually.
It's not just a good golfer, but there's a business entrepreneur possibilities for Harrison Endicott.
Good to have irons in the fire, I think. That was Nathan Green at 17, man who's played in a few countries in his time.
Yeah, as he makes his way up that big slope, and we've spoken about the different undulations there. The left-hand side of that fairway is the place to hit it off the tee, give you an open view into the 17th green.
Tell you what, been very fortunate with the weather today. What the forecast was for a lot of rain,
and
even just a couple of days ago.
Pretty heavy winds too, because yesterday, Harrison, the course played a lot different with the wind.
Yeah, it was definitely windy yesterday, but I thought it would get a little stronger yesterday. Just especially in the morning. I look in the morning on the Thursday night or Friday morning, and it just looked like it was going to howl, and it just wasn't as windy as I thought it would be. So we've been very blessed up here in Toowoomba.
To ask, where's your home club there in Scottsdale?
I'm just practicing at TPC Scottsdale at this stage. Mark Hensby's there and Steve Allen.
Yep.
I see those guys pretty much all the time. I think I've been pestering Mark Hensby a lot about short game and all that type of stuff. So, no, it's awesome. I literally live within a mile of that place. I can almost ride a bike there pretty much, and it's such a good little spot to be. It's even travel out of like 20 minutes to the airport, no traffic. It's not like Sydney.
James Nitty's sizing up his third shot on 17. Yep, I lived on that course at the TPC for 2 years. Wonderful place. Wonderful facility. So Nitty's no doubt will be looking to get this one up and down for a birdie. He's currently -8. Even par in his round.
He's kept his temperament well today, James Nitties, because he would have been hoping to get hot. We know he can go low when he does get hot, but it hasn't gone exactly how he would have liked, and he's kept his patience.
He has. He's actually 9 under par. He's had a couple of birdies this back 9. We saw him drop all the way back to 7. And I know that as a youngster, anything inside 60 metres was a guaranteed up and down for James Nitties.
So I've got a bit of clarification for you as well. We talked a little earlier just before Harrison came in about Jared Felton and Cameron John's round. So there was a scoring error on Jared Felton's card. We had him in for 61. In fact, he has signed for a 63 for 7 under par, and that takes him to -12. Now, there was also a ruling on an earlier hole that Cameron John had to wait for post-round, and in fact, I think he may have got a penalty for an incorrect drop, a 2-stroke penalty, so his 62 becomes a 64, and he now finds himself at 11 under par, tied 6. So a little bit of drama to end the day for both of those players. Not so much drama for Jared. It wasn't his fault. He knew his score. We didn't via the Walker scorers, but Cameron unfortunately would have known coming in that he had the issue to deal with, and had a 2-stroke penalty added to his score.
Yeah, shame for Cameron John after a good day's work. Now Dean Lawson chipping from off the green here at 17. Got a good round going. 6 under par today, Victorian. And good chip there. How have you found all the rule changes, Harrison? Have you had to brush up on them?
Yeah, look, there's some interesting ones. I mean, I think the spike mark rule should have been done 10 years ago. I think that's great that they've changed that.
But sorry to butt in
That's
there.
all right.
Awesome shot from Max Mcardle out of that bunker on 18. That finished at -12. Go ahead.
Yeah, look, I think there's some, the knee-high one I've still got to get used to.
I don't know whether you saw this morning from Mexico. Did you see the drop by Ricky Fowler?
Yeah, and that's cruel. I
sort
think
of a brain fade there.
And I think I feel like he shouldn't get penalised for that. I mean, that's where the rules, I think, sometimes can hurt a player in the wrong way. But
if anything, Ricky there is actually making it harder for himself, dropping it from a higher height.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of discussion about that as we go through the next 6 months or so with the R&A.
Yeah, it's got a lot of good things. It'll be interesting to see how it all folds out in the next, say, 2 years, and see how many players like it. Again, it is to speed up play, and obviously they're trying everything they can do. So hopefully it works.
Nathan Green just missing his birdie putt at 17.
And are you a putter with the pin in or the pin out or from a certain distance? What have you come up with?
I'm still trying to figure out what I like and what I don't like. I've tended with the long putts, 35 to 40 feet. I definitely leave the flag in now. But the short ones I still find a little weird. I mean, I was watching Riviera last week and Scotty is putting everything like with the flag in, and he's actually putting quite well. So. I mean, obviously, it's definitely not going to hurt you, but just for a visual, it's pretty
well,
something.
What's the width of the hole? 1.68 inches or something. It narrows your focus to the flagstick as opposed to the cup, doesn't it? So it can help in that regard.
Generally not wide enough for me.
He's short. We've seen him short a couple of times today. I can see it certainly being advantageous on long putts in helping judge the speed. I can see it on a downhill putt. But it's certainly, it does look a little bizarre from a short distance. This is Marcus Sani on the edge of the right tree line on 18. He's going to have to shape this one a little left to right, hit it over the tree in front of him. Not easy to do from the rough. Well, apparently it is.
3 pearlers from that group.
I've been talking about that hole location on 18. It's a tricky one on the right there.
It's tough.
Forget about what I said.
It's only if you pull it up to the top plateau. So to clean up here. Oh dear.
You know, we saw him on the 10th, the par 5 miss, do exactly the same thing.
I mean, at the Vic Open, I was watching Nitty's putting, and he was unbelievable with his putting. It still looks, pretty good. So we won't be too happy with that, but I was definitely asking for some tips when we were down there, that's for sure.
It's 2 things, isn't it, when you watch that hole there. One, he has a birdie opportunity and tentatively leaves it short, and then that next putt also a little tentative as well. So disappointment as James Nitties makes his way to the 18th. Dean Lawson just to clean up here, I think, for birdie. And he's done that a few times, caught the edges, but they're all going down. Well, it's an opportunity that we rarely get to get a player in the booth with us. So, Harrison, thanks very much for coming to join us. Been an absolute pleasure.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Tom.
Congrats on a super round of golf today. And keep those birdies firing tomorrow and make it interesting for us here as you charge back up the leaderboard.
I definitely will try. So thanks again, guys, for having me.
Pleasure. Well done.
Cheers.
Hi, I'm Damien Jordan. Hi there, I'm Steve Jeffrey from Southport.
I'm Matt Griffin from Victoria Golf Club, and I hope you're enjoying
PGA TV.
Stay and play at the City Golf Club Motel in the heart of the beautiful garden city of Toowoomba. Enjoy a relaxing golf holiday in one of our spacious and well-appointed 4.5-star motel rooms and enjoy a round of golf on our 18-hole championship course. Then relax with friends over a meal and drinks at our stunning clubhouse, catering from individuals to large groups. Our stay and play packages are fully customised to suit your needs. Packages are available now, so book your golf getaway today at the City Golf Club Motel.
6 starts, 6 wins. The favourite storming home. Unbeatable. Apparently not. Ladbrokes, back yourself.
Gamble responsibly.
My sweet, sweet love, apple of my eye, my love, my darling, never make you cry.
What?
1.99% per annum comparison rate on selected Tiguan and Tiguan All-Space models.
Volkswagen.
G'day, I'm My Golf Ambassador Jason Day. Welcome to My Golf, the first step for kids to learn the game. You'll have an awesome time picking up the basics with your mates. Golf is fun, easy to learn, and a great way to meet new friends. Have a great time, and I'll see you out in the golf course.
Well, we're in Toowoomba in Queensland and at the top of the Darling Downs. Have a look at those views. That's what it's like up here. It is absolutely beautiful. A little dry after what's been a long, hot summer, and it's affected the golf course a little bit. But I tell you, the grounds crew here done a magnificent job on presenting this course as good as they possibly can. The green's in absolutely perfect condition. Tee's beautiful. And there are no excuses on these putting surfaces for these pros. Even from the back door for James Marquezani. Yep, all the way around. That wasn't the front of the hole, was it?
We'll certainly take it. A birdie on 18. We've seen a few birdies on 18. This is supposed to be a difficult hole. It was index 1 the first 2 days.
Well,
Especially coming from the right tree.
The difficulty is off the tee. You get that tee shot away and then you've got an opportunity to attack.
Oh, we heard Harrison Endicott saying that Adam Scott, he was watching Adam Scott at Riviera putt with the flagstick in, and that's exactly what Max Mcardle's done all day long. So he makes a birdie as well, finishes at -12. And that is one heck of a birdie out of that fairway bunker. Putting himself in contention more and more often, Max Mcardle.
Denzel. Jeremiah. Finishing off. Solid day's work from him. He would have liked to have picked up a couple more.
What a debut, though, in his first tournament as a professional.
2 under par. Leaves him in the top 10, tied 9th at 10. This is the 17th, second shot up the hill. And I talked about the lie, this one pulling left.
Well, he'd love a birdie in the last 2 holes if he could shoot red numbers today on a day that he hasn't played well. I'd certainly be pleased.
Now, that's Lincoln tie. Just wondering, is that his drive?
Wouldn't surprise me if he drove it near the green, how far he hit some of his tee shots, but I think it is. I'm going to say it is. We haven't seen his tee shot, obviously.
The camera at times can be deceptive for us. But, that's a monster if it is.
And he looks about a 6 or a 7 iron. Ooh, and we saw Andrew Evans in that bunker, but that's going to be even more difficult because he's towards the downslope, towards the back of the bunker. And
well, with the short club, he's got aggressive, hasn't he? He's trying to get it pin high and attack the pin, and he may pay the consequence of that from being slightly conservative, leave it in the middle and give himself a putt towards the back.
Well, we've seen a couple of shots from Lincoln Ty today that he's left out to the right, and he does have that flat follow-through. It's a very unique follow-through, and you wonder if under pressure that's something that, you know, he perhaps something he needs to look at and work on. But in all fairness to him, he hasn't played a tournament in a year, so he's almost relearning the skills that you need under pressure.
Well, it can be a fun experience too when you haven't been there for a while, so hopefully he is enjoying it and taking it the right way.
Well, I can guarantee you this is not Daniel Nisbet's tee shot.
No, so he's laid it up to there, giving himself a perfect look with his third at this pin that sits in the back centre of the 17th. It's 21 paces on, and it is absolutely in the centre of the green. .32 metres deep. So we've still got a good 10 metres behind it.
Really gets through the ball well. Daniel Nisbet rotates beautifully through the ball. It's a pass mark. Won't be overly thrilled with it. He won't be overly thrilled that it's that long a birdie putt on a birdieable hole.
Now, and you talked about leaving yourself in the right positions in the approach in the green. So the right position on this one, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's got to be just a little left of this pin to give yourself a nice straighter uphill putt. That putt there, he has to be somewhat cautious. Can't go too hard at that because you could easily leave it 3-4 feet past.
Absolutely. Well, the 18th fairway, this is James Nitty's right in the middle. And this is a hole location that would be a green light special for him. Loves to fade it. Coming off that disappointing bogey on 17 would be great to see him make amends here and birdie 18. And you can see that one moving left to right in the air. Oh, it was all over it. Come back. Good shot.
We saw Andrew Martin make it from there not long ago.
He was a runner-up in Perth last year at the World Super 6, but a bit of a struggle the rest of the season. Playing over in the United States, playing some satellite tours over there. Ian Lawson will not be playing a satellite tour this year. He'll be playing the European Tour. And if he plays like that, you might have a good chance of winning a few tournaments.
Well, he's got that to tie Daniel Nisbet, who has a birdie putt on the 17th. And if you were to make that, boy, he's just been cruising around today. We've seen him play well, but we haven't talked it up. Perhaps we should have been talking it up a little bit more, Ewan, because he's got that for 62. 7 under par he is with a nice real opportunity.
Well, you just look at the way he's walking there, and that really, he looks like that when he's shooting 76 as well, which he doesn't do very often, but he's just such a laid-back character and so nonplussed that you know, he probably doesn't get all the credit that he deserves because he's a very consistent golfer as well. Daniel Pearce, third shot. 17. Checked up, but that's pretty good.
Yeah, well, so as they made their way up to the 17, we're talking about where you're going to miss it. So that was a good miss. That gave him a pretty basic chip to leave himself with a nice, 3 foot for birdie. This is the miss that you didn't want. Let's see what Lee Kintai can do here. Third shot.
See how open that club face was. A lot of acceleration through the ball. And he played that about as well as what he could have, and he's still got 10 to 12 feet up the hill for birdie. Well, we assume it's for birdie. It's a really good finishing hole. Corporate marquee behind the green, clubhouse in the studio we're in just behind that.
And a beautiful clubhouse too, where they actually have a balcony where they can open up all the sliding doors to look over the 18th, and it's a picturesque finishing hole.
Do you think in the Saturday comp there'd be a little bit of heckling and sledging going on?
You bet. You bet there would be. Club championships as they're coming down the last. I could only imagine what it might be like. So this is our leader. 17 under par. Birdie putt for Daniel Nisbet to stretch that lead.
at the line. He just didn't hit it. And he'll feel like he's dropped a shot with a par there on 17. Technically, obviously, he hasn't, but it's only a driver and a long to mid-iron for a second shot. But a fantastic performance. I mean, you go into the third round of a tour event in the final group to be 6 under par for the round. I don't care where you're playing. It's excellent golf. Green. Nathan Green.
He'll have that to finish his day at even par. Finds himself in 14th position.
Lincoln tie this for a share of the lead at 17. Oh, that's extremely disappointing. He's 3 under par on the round, Todd, but geez, let a lot of shots slide today. And you know what? If you want to look at it from a positive side of things, to be 3 under par for the round, final group leading, and to have pretty much had your bad day for that score, good effort.
So, James Niddy's for birdie here. Just leave it outside the right, get the pace right, it'll feed itself into the hole. Has he done it?
Oh,
right
same as Andrew Martin.
Must be, it's a very readable putt, that one. So he makes up for bogeying 17 with a nice finish on 18. But I remember talking, we see this get cleaned up by Pierce. I remember talking to Lee Jansen, and he said, you never make up for bogeys. He was adamant that a shot dropped was a shot dropped.
All right, Dean Lawson, 18th hole. Oh, wow, that was for a 62 as well. It's a heck of a round regardless.
Just ever so slightly did he come out of that one, just have a little peek.
Beautiful scorecard, 8 birdies, 1 bogey. He's currently only 1 stroke behind our leader, Daniel Nisbet. Who of course, Ty and Nisbet still have the 18th hole to come.
This for an even par round of 70. The two Novocastrians, having spent the day together, neither of them found the fire that they were hoping to, but managed to keep their card together. So the final group now on the 18th tee.
See how low he's teeing down the driver. You do not see that very often at all anymore. So I would think with that low tee height, he's going to look to hit a low squeeze fade out there. And the one-handed follow through, he may not have achieved that.
Try again.
Well, I can only assume by him saying try again that he could have hit that out of bounds.
So let me ask you, there's an internal out of bounds on this on the right, is that right?
Well, there's OB left with the driving range.
Okay, so the question I wanted to ask you though, teeing it down low, is that because of such an elevated tee here on the 18th, that he'd be just trying to dart it down there, flight it in that way? Or
well, quite often a low tee height with the new technology will promote a left to right shot, which in general, in theory, is more accurate. Didn't work that occasion, but Daniel Nisbet's not worrying about that. He's teeing it high and letting it fly. And nothing held back there. Love the way he rotates through the ball. You certainly get a good look from that camera behind the players of what they face from the tee. I'd be surprised if Lincoln Ty's hitting driver. He could almost reach the hazard in front of the green.
I'm not sure if he knows where it's finished, but I think we saw it there and it's in good position. Well, he's taking iron.
Tell you what, you caddy for Lincoln Ty, you'll be getting yardages you're not used to, that's for sure. And a pretty high tee as well. In fact, he's hitting an iron. Mentioned on the hole before how his bad shot, his tendency has been to hit it right, and again there. And it's not a bad thing. You learn what your tendencies are under pressure, and this would put him in good stead going forward. Obviously, he's not pleased with that, and he hasn't. Well, I think I'm right with Daniel Pearce. I believe he's hit this OB left. So, a provisional ball.
And a good second serve.
And that second golfer is always a much better golfer. Just absolutely hammered that one.
Well, given how well he's hit that one, he may just walk straight down the middle of the fairway, not bother to even look for the other. Because the other would be a chip out, you would think. So for Lincoln Ties, he makes his way down the 18th fairway and will have to head right into the trees. He'll be looking for a good lie. Let's hear from Ali Whitaker on how to play this 18th hole.
The 18th hole, the finishing hole here at the City Golf Club in Toowoomba. And I can tell you one thing, it is a cracker. It's going to be great for the driving stats. It's completely downhill, plays 28 paces downhill of elevation change. 2 bunkers come into play off the tee. That first one down on the right hand side, then also another one down on the left. So important to thread the ball through there to give yourself a chance at a closing birdie. You've managed to find the fairway, which is job well done off the tee here on the finishing hole. And then you find yourself round about here, which is about, say, 105 metres to the front of the green. So it's all depending on the pin, but back towards the clubhouse, this beautiful green complex has 3 bunkers defending it. There is water short, but that's not really so much in play, but those bunkers surrounding the green certainly will be. It's long, it's narrow, it's challenging, exactly what a finishing hole should be. Now, we've talked about how the 18th hole might help your driving stats because it is 28 paces downhill, as mentioned. However, I'm not sure it's going to help your putting stats because this is the biggest green on the golf course. It's 35 paces deep. And you can see, I'm just walking up this gentle little ridge. Oh, tears for days around here in Toowoomba. Absolutely incredible. So it's going to provide a very thrilling finish. If you can hit it on the right section, you might be in with a chance of a finishing birdie, perhaps taking home a trophy.
Well, thanks, Ali Whitaker. And you can tell the difference between when Ali was up here doing that shot and how the course is actually playing a lot faster and a lot shorter because of the lack of water over this summer. As we see Lincoln Ty heading right, hoping that he's got some sort of shot in there.
Well, Stephen Jeffress was in there last year when he needed a par to force a playoff, and he hit a miraculous shot from in there, but it is a bit of a house of mirrors. It's very difficult to have any sort of shot at the green. He's going to have to be pretty fortunate to get any shot at the green. Didn't see where Nisbet's ball finished, but I've got a feeling it's just in the left rough, which won't be too bad. Good gallery walking down the 18th, and tell you there's hundreds of people behind the 18th green. Corporate marquee, great atmosphere.
We've talked about the club here. It's a community hub. It's got a big membership, big golfing membership, big social membership tonight. There's a big concert in and be full with hundreds for dinner. So it's a big part of this community in Toowoomba, and big thanks to the Toowoomba Regional Council for what they put in to this tournament, getting the PGA of Australia into Toowoomba. And they're always big in this part of Queensland at promoting sport, bringing professional sport in, which then enhances the junior development of sport in this region as well. So very, very important part of the community is this club. And there's a great shot of the clubhouse there. You can see the doors that I was talking about, the people sitting just inside on the balcony, looking out, having a beverage or two on a beautifully warm Saturday afternoon.
I can see you there, Todd, in the shoot. There you are. But it is a great look. And you know what? You can see how far downhill this 18th hole is, and it goes to show you how far uphill some of the other holes are as well, because the 10th goes back in the other direction.
Yeah, it's very interesting. A lot of times on television, you don't get the perspective. You know, everyone will have watched Augusta on the television, and when you go there for the first time, it's sort of blown away at the undulation and the drops in elevation that they have there. So not dissimilar to here. This is the Augusta of Queensland.
It's hard to argue with that, Todd. Now, Daniel Nisbet's found the fairway bunker there on 18. And it's going to be a very challenging shot. Coming out of sand, he's not only got to get over the lip, but you've got the water there in front of the green, which we saw Cameron John just clear from the bunker bit. Bunker long.
I guess this all depends on what clearance he can get out of it. He's got a clean shot, get the ball up quickly.
The sand is firm, so that's going to be beneficial. Easy to catch the ball flush. And he likes the look of it. Only a wedge in hand. Oh, come on, spin back. Look at this, Daniel Nisbet.
A grandstand finish on the 18th from Nisbet.
Well, that putt will be for back-to-back rounds of 7 under par 63. Well, Lick and Ty is in the same bunker, so after his tee shot, he's chipped out to here. So I'm not sure if they're going to be playing in 2s or 3s tomorrow, but if they're in 2s, I'll tell you that unless Lincoln Ty holds this, Dean Lawson will be in the final group with Daniel Nisbet. But this carbon copy of what we just saw from Daniel Nisbet has the same shot, wedge in hand, out of the bunker, perhaps less of the lip to clear. Oh, he's flubbed this. Watch out, water. Watch out. Oh, no. Oh, Lincoln Ty, not the finish you want.
And you can see, look at the tension in the face. You can see the pursed lips, and it's sort of all come crashing down a little bit for him here on the 18th, all from that tee shot. Took iron. In the end, he may as well have been more aggressive and taken maybe a driver, but you say that water would have come into play with driver in hand for him. So,
well, I can tell you what, just a clarification. Lincoln Ty has actually bogeyed the 17th hole, the par 5. So we thought he was hitting his second shot from the fairway. It was actually his third. So poor old Lincoln Ty, he's now got to get up and down for a double bogey to finish 6-6. That was Daniel Pearce. That was Daniel Pearce's 4th shot after hitting his tee shot out of bounds. So Daniel Nisbet showing this pair a clean pair of heels at the moment.
And that just goes to show, isn't it, the comment we made just 10 minutes ago about the difficulty of this hole is the tee shot. Get the tee shot away and it's a birdie opportunity. You don't, you bring anything into play. And you're just commenting there, just had the rangefinder out. So
oh, careful, don't drop
no,
it
no,
from there.
Oh, his caddy caught him then. His caddy caught him. He can thank him for that, because that could have been disastrous as well. Oh, this is where you can see, this is where his mind is unraveling. This is where he has to settle himself here. He's still having a great tournament. He's still not out of the tournament. Get away with a double here and reassess the round and come out tomorrow and relax again.
Well, I mean, under normal circumstances, this is a very straightforward pitch shot, but when it's your 5th shot, coming off a bogey on the previous hole, having just hit it in the water, it's all about where your headspace is at. And that ball's just clipping the flag on the way past.
Well done.
Well done, yes, but that for a double bogey, that for an even par round of 70. And he's all of a sudden find himself potentially 5, maybe 6 strokes behind the lead if he misses that putt.
Please welcome to the 18th green, Daniel Pearce, Daniel Nisbet and
As the final group's introduced to the 18th. Let's take a look at Daniel Nisbet and his day today. So this is the leader. This was his third shot at the 10th.
And I was talking about the difficulty of that shot. Daniel Nisbet pretty much says, what difficulty? That's easy. Chips it up there to about 2 inches. This is a birdie putt at 12, Todd.
And perfect line, perfect pace on the front 9. Birdie 2, 3, 5 and 6. We saw birdies at 10 and 12. And this, one of the shots of the day out of the fairway bunker on the 18th.
Well, I can't tell you how difficult a shot that was, and Lincoln Tye proved how tough it is. You've just got to catch it a hair heavy and you're in the water, and leading the tournament there's added pressure, but Daniel Nisbet, look at him, just no big deal.
Yeah, so then there were birdies 10, 12, 13 and a tap-in birdie here on 18 to shoot a consecutive round of 63 for our leader. Opened up with a round of 66. And once he does do the formality of putting that one in, he will sit at 18 under par.
Well, one thing Daniel Nisbet, he's got this rare ability to be able to go really, really low and continue to do that. Last year when he won the New Zealand Open, he finished 29 under par, which was a tournament record. Obviously, he's going to be 18 under par here after 3 rounds. Only about 5 or 6 years ago, he played the first stage of the PGA Tour School in America, in Texas. He shot 24 under and won by 14 shots. I mean, there's something special in there, and perhaps it won't be long till we see him on the PGA Tour contending as well.
So this is for bogey, and a good bogey.
Lincoln Tye would take a bogey right now. Hard to think that hit a tee shot out of bounds and you're going to score better than your playing partner, but it's a round of even par 70 for Daniel Pearce, and 9 under par currently in a tie for 12th.
Right, Lincoln, come on, put this one in and stop the bleeding here. Well done. So that for double bogey. You don't normally say well done, but gee, he nearly had a penalty for an incorrect drop. There were all sorts of things that were going on. So in the end, just an even par round of 70 after dropping 3 shots in the last 2 holes.
This is for back-to-back rounds of 63 for Daniel Nisbet. 18 under par if he pops this in. 2-shot lead going into Sunday over Dean Lawson. Just brilliant golf. See what pressure does too. He had a full head of hair at the start of the day.
That's not nice, but 8 birdies, 1 bogey, and a very colourful scorecard with lots of red on it from our leader, and he will take a 2-shot lead into the final day. 2 shots over Dean Lawson, who also went consecutive rounds of 63. Lincoln Tye, he will drop back a couple of shots and it will go to 13 under. That's how things sit as Lincoln Tye and Daniel Nisbet will head in to sign their scorecards. Great day from Jared Felton, also terrific playing, and wonderful to have Harrison Endicott in here to talk about his round today.
And there's a lot of good storylines on that first page, and even the second and third pages as well. But one thing's for sure, tomorrow we're going to be crowning a worthy champion, but all of these players have an opportunity to really change their lives tomorrow with a win here.
The New Zealander in Eremia making a good charge in his debut as a professional. 3 under and a score of 11 under. Michael Sim, 4 under today, finds his way edging up there. Probably, well, he is probably too far back to really be in contention tomorrow, but a good solid tournament for him.
And one of the things that's fantastic about what we're doing here, Todd, with PGA TV is the ability to be able to see such a vast array of players and learn a little bit more about them as well. So if you're watching, you know, so many of these players, they have the ability to be able to compete on the PGA Tour. It's just about taking their opportunities and running with them. And as I said, perhaps tomorrow or if not sometime in the near future. It's an opportunity for these players to really make their presence felt. Stephen Jeffers, 6 under par for the tournament, last year's runner-up, 5 over par after 3 holes in this tournament, so great comeback from him.
Well, we spoke about it a little earlier. One of the things that the PGA TV can do for these players is they don't often get a lot of opportunity to watch themselves on TV with the tournaments that they're at. It's actually not a bad thing to be able to come back, watch the telecast, look at your body language, look at what you do with your routine out there, see if you can learn from it, and actually go back out and reinforce the positives.
Daniel Fox, the defending champion, -4 in a tie for 38th alongside fellow Western Australian Rick Kulaks. Darren Beck was a winner of this tournament back in 2008. And Steiger, you were following him around at the Vic Open in the final group a couple of weeks ago.
He came off a brilliant Saturday there at the Vic Open, was out in the morning, had one of the best rounds of the day, and by day's end found himself in the final group on Sunday.
Andrew Dote, the local from Gatton, only half an hour away.
A tough day for Ben Ferguson, 5 over. Went astray. He'll be disappointed with that. Not many rounds over par here. The weather today really perfect for good scoring. Early on this morning, not a lot of breeze. Got up a little bit this afternoon, but not enough to really challenge a lot of these players with their quality of ball striking.
Little nugget there on Matthew Chung, the young man from Hong Kong. He made the cut in the Hong Kong Open, the European Tour event a couple of months ago, and he was the first player from Hong Kong to do that in the history of the tournament.
So that's how things stand on the leaderboard after round 3. Why don't we have a look at the shot of the day? There were plenty of good ones, but this one in particular we've picked as the highlight of the day.
Peter Wilson on 18. We saw a lot of good approach shots into the 18th hole today, including Daniel Nisbet's, but this one from the left side of the fairway, this was the pick of the bunch. And a couple more revolutions of spin and he would have holed it. But a great effort from Peter Wilson.
That was the shot of the day from Peter Wilson, and a great shot to finish in the final group too from Daniel Nisbet. He tapped in for a birdie, and he is the leader here by 1 shot over Dean Lawson. In fact, it's 2 shots. He hasn't signed his scorecard yet, so it will be 18 under. And we're looking forward to a fantastic day on the final round tomorrow. It's been a great afternoon of golf. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We're going to do it all again tomorrow. On behalf of PGA TV, I'm Todd Woodbridge, and a big thanks to Ewan Porter.